Got an accident near the B&A Airport, I-40 eastbound before Briley Parkway East, exit 215, as well 2 accidents in 65 southbound, one at Long Hollow Pike, exit 97, and another one on Trinity Lane, exit 87. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What's happening, everybody? It is 6 minutes after 3 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7 WTN rolls on with live and local conversation. My name is Matt Murphy, not Brian Wilson. Brian, it is my understanding, because I heard it out of his mouth, had a root canal today.
Literally out of his mouth. Yeah.
I mean, oh, yeah.
And in his mouth, I guess.
That worked on, thank you, Chris. That worked on like 3 levels.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. There's Chris Weber. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. No Ken Weaver today. We're sad about that, but we're happy to have KGB in the news closet. I call him KGB. His name is Jeff Malinoff, and I kid. I promise you that he has guaranteed us that it's only real news over the course of the afternoon during the top of the hour newscast.
We'll be watching, though.
It's always real news.
Oh, we'll be watching. We'll be watching. KGB, you doing all right?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Getting your golf game ready?
Trying to. Doing my best. Hey, Chris Weber, how you feeling?
I'm good. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. More on that. I know no one wants to hear it, so more on that in the 6 o'clock hour. I'll let you get some food in your belly and digest a little bit of that. Chris Weber and I will desperately attempt not to talk about the game between our beloved Georgia Bulldogs and the Tennessee Volunteers tomorrow night.
Hiss.
It is a solid. I tried to offer Weber a solace before the show. We're both Georgia fans, right? And I know most of you are Tennessee fans, and you can give us the Go Big Orange or whatever you want to do on the text feature. Super text line up and running 615-737-9986. At some point you can call us. But I was like, we haven't lost a night game in Athens since 2009.
Yeah.
And Chris Weber basically said, "Yeah, we played like 4 of them, Murphy," which is
many since then.
Which is true, but we've won them all, which is something.
When is the last home game this season? Like, I don't even remember. It's been so long.
I mean, weren't we at home against State? We played State at home. Did we play State? We played Mississippi State, right?
Yeah. Was that at home?
I'm having a difficult time.
I guess it was. I don't know.
I'm having a difficult time remembering beyond in the first quarter of the Ole Miss game. And I told you I thought of you because I think of my Georgia faithful, right? And there I am, and not that we try to hurt anybody, not that I want everybody to be okay, but
right.
when they're big time starting quarterbacks on the sidelines and they're bringing in their backup, and you just went up 7-0, you're like, oh, well, this is going to be nice.
This is going to be an easy day.
I like this.
Yeah.
And then, about 2.5 hours later, you're like, this has not been nice at all.
This is the worst day in a long time.
This is the worst day of my it's not. Yeah, I will say this, though. I told people that follow college football that even with that going on, it's one of the best weeks that I've experienced in a long, long time. So I'm just going to keep it going today throughout the course of the afternoon. We got a lot to do. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, there's new news coming out of Washington, D.C. with regard to some of the cabinet picks. A lot of consternation, a lot of gnashing of teeth in Washington, D.C., where they think they're smarter than you about some of the selections, primarily revolving around Matt Gaetz and to a lesser degree. Well, I think it goes in this order, and we all can have opinions on this. I'm curious to hear yours. Matt Gaetz is the ultimate freakout on a variety of levels. He's not qualified. No, my goodness. And it's the Department of, it's the Attorney General's office. It's the Department of Justice. And, oh, by the way, there's an ethics probe, and we need to see what is he accused of. He hasn't been charged with anything legally. And, oh, by the way, I would remind everyone that authorities looked fully into that and investigated fully these charges against him and chose not to draw charges against Matt Gaetz. But whatever, everybody wants to see the ethics probe, and I understand that. So it's Matt Gaetz, number one. RFK number 2. Did you know that RFK is an anti-vaxxer? Comma, said all of the pharmaceutical companies worried that their money train would begin drying up very soon, period. So RFK is number 2. Tulsi Gabbard is a distant number 3, and then really all of the rest. I mean, nobody's really talking about Ratcliffe and some of the others. Doug Burgum has been named as Donald Trump's selection for Department of the Interior, which is an excellent suggestion, by the way. There was a thought that Doug Burgum would be over at the Department of Energy, but, so be it. I wonder if Donald Trump is going – I thought about this last night. Another freak out is going on surrounding what Donald Trump has said about the Department of Education. There was no federal Department of Education until 1979. I was, just to give you a sense of how long ago that was, I was 6 years old in 1979, and I'm a very old person now. The Department of Education was created for the purpose of making sure that we further education standards in the United States of America and continue to keep up with the educational excellence that we had enjoyed in most areas of the country, but to help other areas catch up to those places that were doing well. What it has sadly done instead is that everybody has gone down to the lowest common denominator, and we kind of suck. It's like ever see the movie The Waterboy? It's what's his name? Rob Schneider. Oh no, we suck again. Well, yeah. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that the creation of the Federal Department of Education didn't work. All we hear is that, he wants to destroy education. He wants to prevent young people from getting good quality education. No, he doesn't. But my curiosity is this. I wonder if he's going to name an education secretary. I would love it if he trolled the political left by just leaving that vacant for a while. Just like, well, we're going to get rid of that anyway, so really doesn't matter.
Or just, make it someone totally ridiculous, just as a joke,
Big Bird from Sesame Street or something stupid. Be awesome. Oscar the Grouch. So we'll break all of those cabinet selections down as the show moves forward today. It's going to be a very busy show. I'm overloaded today, and I apologize for that, but I had a lot of things going on in my regular shift from noon until 3, and for most of you, you know by now that, Brian is retiring, and God bless him. We wish him well. I heard him on Dan Mandish's show. I got a little verklempt. Listening to the stories of reporting past, and that. So, over the course of 50 years, you think about it, Brian Wilson's been a part of every major American story over those 50 years.
Yeah.
Every one. Mm-hmm. And that is just, from 9/11 to, I had forgotten, because Dan said the word shooting this morning, and I think Dan was referring to the Covenant School shooting. And Brian's mind went back to, he was like the senior, I want to say field reporter. He was the lead guy on the Washington, D.C. sniper shootings, which was a huge, we kind of forget. That was a huge story. There was, we didn't know it at the time, but there was a tag team of individuals driving around in an automobile. They had this sniper nest set up, and they were picking people off in Washington, D.C. and driving away. And nobody knew who it was or how they were doing it. And Brian was one of the lead correspondents, lead reporters on that story. He's been there for so many years. So it will be bittersweet to see him step away from a full-time capacity, but he's still going to be here in a part-time way, and he's going to be contributing and corresponding in many different ways. But I'll be here on these Mondays and Fridays until Brian's last quote-unquote full-time day, December 24th. And with that in mind, I just got a lot to do. So I have my man, Jay StClair, who is a good Tennessee man. He is a legal expert. He is my gambling buddy and life consultant. He'll be here at 4 o'clock. He is going to explain to us what exactly the Attorney General of the United States of America does. He is going to explain to us, because I think there's this fallacy that exists in American media today that the Attorney General somehow acts exterior to the desires of the President of the United States of America. And to use a favorite term of Mr. Wilson, Jay's going to disabuse you liberals of that notion. We'll do that at the 4 o'clock hour. Cameron Smith will slide in here in the 5 o'clock hour, give us his take on what's going on in D.C. And in just a couple of minutes, we're going to talk to our man Taylor Hicks. we'll get away from the political world and talk about some of the activities going on in Nashville, Tennessee, the scene that is the music biz. Good friend of the show, Taylor Hicks, will join us in just a moment. Your telephone calls all afternoon long as well, 615-737-9986, a cornucopia of topic selections on the drive this afternoon. It's my episode 695. It's Locks for Trump Day 258. Consume us on the radio, 99.7 FM. You can find us on any of your streaming applications, any platform that streams music or news or information or podcast. You can find us at Supertalk 99.7 WTN. And then there's, of course, for you masochists in the listening audience, Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. It's 16 after the hour on Supertalk.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
We have opening arguments of Laken Riley's murder trial. Also, Americans are spending more. Details coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My next guest and I have already started this segment just between us, sitting here in studio. So my apologies. We're going to back up and catch everyone up. It's The Drive. Brian is out today. Brian will be back this coming Tuesday. That's the way we're doing it for the rest of the year. And Brian, we wish you, I hope you're listening. If Cabana Wife is listening, we wish you a speedy recovery on your root canal happening earlier today. I hope the next 4 hours will not seem as a root canal. I know that the next 20 minutes or 30 minutes or so will not seem that way because we've got our man, Taylor Hicks, in studio with us. What is going on, Taylor?
You know, a lot. And also, you know, around this radio station, it feels like, you know, we'd won about 10 national championships.
Feels pretty good around here.
I know. There's really good vibe.
Weber and I were talking, you know, my beloved Bulldogs got our butt spanked by Ole Miss this Saturday, and it was still one of the best weeks of my life.
And you're about to go to Athens.
I believe that I will be there, yes. I believe
you feeling pretty good about that?
I am not. I don't want to talk about it.
All right, moving on.
No, I mean, look. Depends on what. I mean, if you could give some advice to our man Carson Beck, our quarterback, about how to stop throwing it to the other team, I feel a little bit better. But
you know, he's got a little bit of the. You know, it'll be interesting to see what he does down the stretch.
You know, you're such a good Alabama man. I forget your affiliation. That's how good you are at what you do.
You know, I tell people that the only night that Alabama and Auburn fans ever agreed on anything in their lives was the night they were voting for me on American Idol.
That's true.
And
that's true.
You know, I have been bipartisan ever since. But I can say that if you saw my Amex bill in the last 12 or 13 years, you would know I'd been to some bigger games. So that pendulum could have swung one direction more than the other. So. But
I get it.
When you grow up in the over the mountain school system of Birmingham, you're a little bit more tied to Tuscaloosa than any other school in the state outside of UAB, which is the city college of Birmingham. So you could still get grounded almost because we were so close to Tuscaloosa. So a lot of people went to Auburn, and I had a wonderful college experience. Great college town, those Auburn Tigers.
Oh, man. You're absolutely. Auburn's a fabulous town. I mean, Tuscaloosa
and reminds me a lot of Athens. I think Athens
and Auburn are very similar.
But at the same time, though, I think Athens, the music scene, the history, I think it takes the cake.
You'll love this story, and I don't mean to get too much in the weeds, but you'll dig this. So I did not go to school at Athens. I went to school at West Georgia. But I moved to Athens after school and lived there for a year. I was dabbling about going into graduate school. And the only town in the world, I mean, you're sitting at a little restaurant, I'm eating lunch and having a beer, and I look, and walking down the street is Michael Stipe. He's got headphones on, and he's just listening to music, and he's just walking down the street, and nobody's bothering him. I mean, it's a lot like Nashville, like you guys. I mean, right? You walk down the street, people, leave you alone. Yep. And I'm like, oh, my God. I mean, I'm young. I'm in my 20s. It's Michael Stipe. It's Michael Stipe. And he goes, yeah, we just leave him alone. And I said, what's he doing? He goes, and I didn't realize this. REM, the way that they recorded music, the band would record the music with no lyrics and give it to Michael Stipe. And then he would listen to it walking around town. One of the reasons, this is a story I was told, one of the reasons that there's so much of Athens in the music is because he would see things in Athens and incorporate it into the songs.
I never knew that.
And he did the lyrics after the fact.
You know, Mike Mills and I, the bass player for REM, have done a lot of pro-ams together over the years. And, listening to them talk about that town and the music scene, obviously with Widespread Panic and
B-52s.
B-52, unbelievable music scene. In my opinion, probably the most. If you looked at college music scenes and history across the board, University of Athens might be up there at the top.
I think Darius Rucker would probably disagree with you, but whatever.
Well,
what is Darius? What does Darius know?
What's South Carolina doing? Are they in the AP top 25? Come on. They should be though.
Do you you told me this? I don't want to pull back, but you dabble in what we do a little bit, right? You pay attention. You keep up.
Oh, I do, absolutely. I was happy. I think the country's invigorated. I think for me as an entertainer, I need as much invigoration by this country as I can get, and I'm extremely happy that this win happened, and I think the country is going to move in a. We got brighter days ahead, my friend.
I've always said, and I try to maintain consistency no matter what an entertainer's political views are. I don't begrudge any American having a viewpoint.
Yeah.
But when I want to go to a show and watch people perform, and I've seen you perform enough to know you get up there and you just kick butt on stage for everybody.
Leave
right?
all that alone.
I mean, because that's what I'm there to forget all of that.
No. You don't want to be scolded but you don't want to be, that's not what you paid for.
By, Steve Earle or something like that. I mean,
but some people do actually put, that is a part of the act, and that does come with the price of the ticket and the price of admission.
Well, and at this point,
personally, I'm not.
You're not that guy.
I'm there to sing my music and some quasi Michael McDonald stuff and roll on.
You got a big show tonight.
Yep.
I want to get into
Chiefs.
that. Yeah. I mean, and you can I say what you just said to me about Chiefs?
Yeah.
I said, man, it's a great. Have you been? Have you been to Chiefs?
No, I've not been down there.
It's a great new venue. It's got like 6 floors. It's got the top floor, of course, where the infamous chair went. Woo-hoo-hoo. And I've been a couple
you got
times.
Some foam chairs around here. Maybe I'll
you can get up on our roof. And Taylor said, "Yeah, I look forward to seeing it." And I was like, "What? You've never been? You haven't been yet?"
No. I'm actually about to go over and sound check. But you know what? That's what's great about doing some of these shows. We do the sound check the day of. I think that they had an artist in there last night, so we'll go and sound check. I've got Stanton Edward, who's a musician with Jewel and a few other cats in town. Johnny Kulnich is going to play. So I've kind of got a really cool idea of just kind of a really storyteller kind of acoustic night. It's got the balcony, so it's a very I hear it's a very cool acoustic. Kind of really cool, up and close and up and personal venue. So, yeah, I wanted to come down here and talk to you guys and kind of catch some of this good vibe that's going around here.
We're feeling it. We're feeling it.
And what's funny is that, and I'll just say this because I was thinking about something as all of this played out. There was a similar effect that Simon Cowell had on the voting population of me on American Idol, where Simon, he really kind of stoked the fire, so to speak, on some people that really didn't like Simon Cowell, and didn't like what he was saying and didn't think he was, didn't think
because he was critical of you?
Very critical of me. And some of the stuff that he said was kind of, a little bit far-fetched. And I think a little bit of the mainstream media kind of had that effect on some of these voters in the United States. They just kept stoking the fire, and the country stood up and said,
Well, and the honest commentators, and I'll point out 2 of them. Charlemagne the God, who is I forget what his real name is, but that's his radio air name. But he originates, I think, out of New York City, but he broadcasts nationwide. Very liberal. And had all these folks on, and Bill Maher, those 2 guys, right? So, you listen to the narrative that was created before the election, and now you watch as Joe Biden meets with Donald Trump at the White House, and they're shaking hands, and they're laughing, and they're yucking it up. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. You were telling us, this is why you lost, because you were telling us 10 days ago he's Hitler and he's a fascist, and now you're yucking it up with him. Both of those things can't be true.
Yeah.
If you don't know why you lost, look at the mirror and ask yourself if you went way too far in your language.
Amen.
Same to you, Simon Cowell.
Same to you, Simon.
I never thought of it that way, but that's actually pretty true.
Simon, what's funny is the more that Simon kind of, got in my crawl, the board, I think it just invigorated the
Soul Patrol.
The Soul Patrol was alive and kicking. Still is in Nashville.
You got one more segment?
Sure.
Yeah, all right. Taylor Hicks is with us. He's at Chiefs tonight. He's going to be here for another segment. If you've got any questions for Taylor, get him in here. Play us out. We're back right after this.
And Dr. Van Shank, again, he's a psychiatrist.
It's 3:30. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories, that full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Opening arguments today at the trial of accused murderer Jose Ibarra. Prosecutors say Ibarra was in the U.S. illegally when he allegedly raped and killed 22-year-old Laken Riley, a nursing student whose body was found near a popular running trail on the campus of the University of Georgia. ABC's Morgan Norwood has an update from New York.
The prosecution told the judge, and painting this picture to the judge, saying that Jose Ibarra had this all planned out, right? They say that he essentially went hunting for women to sexually assault at UGA back in February and then found Laken Riley on her morning jog. It was routine for her, brutally beat her to death.
Morgan Norwood also says this will be a no jury trial.
This is not a jury trial. It's what we call a bench trial. So going to be a little bit different. So rather than having your prosecution, your counsel, your defense present evidence to a jury, a panel here, there's going to be fewer formalities with the bench trial because the judge here is the sole fact finder. He knows the law. And with that said, there's a chance that this case could even move a little bit quicker than what we would normally see.
News in Nashville, Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti joined a coalition of 23 state attorney generals demanding the end of prosecutions of President Trump immediately. The coalition sent a letter to Special Counsel Jack Smith, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis this week. The Tennessean reports the letter points to meritless claims in each case, and it warned that the continued prosecution of Trump while he is the sitting U.S. president risks real harm to our federal system. They have not received a response so far. Americans stepped up their spending last month. ABC's Sherry Preston has the latest from the Commerce Department.
Suggesting the economy is growing briskly, retail sales rose 0.4% from September to October, a solid increase, but less than the previous month. Spending was robust at car dealerships, electronic stores, and appliance stores, and to a lesser extent on bars and restaurants. Garden center store sales were also up, which could be the result of rebuilding after the hurricanes. Americans spent less last month on furniture, clothing, and at drugstores.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News. We have an off-ramp partially blocked on I-65 southbound, the off-ramp to the Long Hollow Pike exit 97. As well, the BNA Airport still has that accident on I-40 eastbound. That's just before Briley Parkway East exit 215. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
I started working in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy in for Brian Wilson on the drive. Thank you for being with us. 38 after the hour. We're really kind of veering off the rails, off the reservation in terms of political conversation. We'll get back there in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll talk about the Attorney General selection with Jay StClair, what he thinks about that and what it means moving forward with the Department of Justice. That's coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Pamela Furr, the redheaded stranger, before then to tell us about something else happening this weekend in town. And Taylor Hicks is happening tonight at Chiefs on Lower Broad. He's in studio with us. What did you bring with you, by the way?
I brought some Saul's barbecue and some Saul's rub. And
you got so many.
We could put it in the.
How many irons do you have?
As many as it'll take, man. You know, I knew that going into this gig. You have to have a side hustle. And I mean, as much music touring as I've done since I was a kid, I've also done a food tour as well. You know, so I ended
state
up
plate, state plate.
Yeah,
you
state
did
plates
that
on Amazon Prime. Yeah, we did 50 states and 50 plates. We put a plate of food together that was just iconic to that state, which was really cool. And it was great because we went into the farm. We really got in touch with like the farmers. It was on the Inspiration Channel, and now it's on Amazon Prime. And we really went into the hitherland in the middle of the country and really kind of brought out just how important agriculture is in this country, and not from just the food that you eat on the table, but the plants that are they're farmed and cropped in this country, and
that ties right back into what's about to happen in the world, right? Because we're about to. We need to get back to real food, putting real food in our bodies,
absolutely,
and not all this processed garbage in our bodies.
Yeah,
and no question. All right, so that begs the question: what was your favorite Yankee food?
We went to. I'm a big steak guy. I loved going to the original Delmonico's in New York City. That was a pretty classic,
like Wall Street area down there.
Wall Street area, and it was.
I've been there.
And there's a cheesecake that we did, a New York cheesecake, Eileen's cheesecake, that I order it for my family for Christmas every year, and I would suggest you do it. It is absolutely some of the best cheesecake that I've ever had, and they ship it all over the place, and it was one of the few restaurants that was left standing, with the trade towers. And then it went down. So
well, and if I remember this correctly, Delmonico, they claim the moniker, and there's some provenance to back this up, that they are the first quote unquote steakhouse in America.
Yes. And I believe it too.
I mean, yeah, because they're back in the day, and this is what we do. Yeah. This is what we serve. This is what we are, and everything comes from that.
Yeah, we had a great time, and it was like I said, it was really great going and really kind of bringing out the actual American farmer and just how important he is and she is to this country.
All right, I got a bunch of questions for you, Taylor Hicks.
Great.
From our super text line, 6806 says, would you please, and this, the 6806 has now asked this question 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm not kidding, 5, 6.
Persistence,
7 times.
Hey, you got to light the board up here.
7 times. Would you please ask Taylor Hicks about Catherine McPhee and what he thought of her on the show, and has he stayed in touch?
Catherine McPhee was an absolute gem to be on the show with. And what's interesting is that, like, you become famous with a group of people, not just yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, the show was so big. We were all in a bubble. But, yes, I do keep in touch with a lot of folks from my season and run into Catherine every now and then. Obviously, she's married to David Foster, and they go on tour together, and they have a son. And yes, a gem, and she's a beautiful, talented lady.
I don't mean to, because you look exactly the same age as you did then.
Well,
because you had gray, the gray hair helps, right?
Thank God for gray hair. I mean, I'm still. It was gray then. It's gray now. It's probably going to be gray later. It's not going anywhere.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah, almost 20.
Almost 20.
Yeah, 2 decades.
A hell of a life, man.
2 decades of television. Yeah. Yeah, it was. The Vegas show, which was interesting. Now that Mike Tyson's about to take the center stage, So Chris Taylor comes in, and I was like, "Oh, what time are you taking stage?" He's telling me about Chiefs, and like in the middle of telling me about his set on Lower Broad tonight, Chiefs, like, "What time's the Tyson thing? What time's that happen?" Well, you always got to figure out what your timing is when you're talking about Super Bowls and fights, and that's. I think
it starts at 7, but I think look 10:30.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, I'll probably just be getting done with signing merch and stuff, so I'll be able to watch it. My showroom manager in my residency in Las Vegas at the Paris Hotel was Mike Tyson's VIP host during Mike Tyson's years in Vegas and stuff. And
have you ever met Tyson?
Tyson used to come to my gigs at Paris and sit in the back, sit on the couch.
Holy crap! What was that like?
He's there's just a fine line of like brilliance and like just being beat up. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just it's an infinite, a finite line of just. It's like one thing you think he's brilliant. I do think he's brilliant. I think he's obviously, you and I believe that. I believe pound for pound is the greatest fighter.
Greatest fighter in the history of the. I mean, I understand the Ali people. I get it, but for me, I mean, because I just remember growing up, and my grandmother and my grandfather hated it. She spent money to get HBO.
Oh yeah,
right. And my grandpa was like, "It's a waste of money. I can't believe you're spending whatever it was, $6 a month or whatever it was." Yep. And but then we found Friday Night Fights, and then when the Tyson fights would come on, one every 2 years or whatever, or 2 years, whatever it was. And I mean, we would build up to those fights, and it was just a bonding moment for my granddad and I watching the show together. And they normally lasted about a round and a half before Tyson just beat the mess out of whoever he was fighting.
It's an unbelievable run, and I'm a little nervous. I mean, that's a tough thing to do.
58.
58.
He's 58.
How old is Jake Paul?
27.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. I think Mike probably could squeeze out 4 or 5 more movies and make the same amount of money than getting beat up tonight. Because you were right. We all have this vision of this.
I don't want to see him fail.
Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, we don't want to just.
It's like watching. You know what it's like? I mean, you're a golfer. It's like watching Tiger now.
Yes. Yeah, it's
and I love the guy to
degrading.
death, but it's painful for all of us because we remember when he was the greatest golfer on planet Earth.
And if he loses, which I believe that he will tonight, I believe that it will tarnish the image that we all have as, as kids. And I think, we obviously I don't know. But you know what? Would it surprise me if he lands a right and knocks Paul out? No. It'd be pretty awesome.
That would be so good if he just clocks him once on the jaw.
Just happens to catch it like in the first 30 seconds of the first round. That would be epic.
Ask Taylor about his pre-American Idol Nashville free show. This is his old friend Buff.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we used to do Windows on the Cumberland here, when I lived here. And then we would do all kinds of shows. Hey Buff, shoot. That's how you play, man. You got to do as many.
I mean, because you were doing the circuit in Birmingham, you were coming up to Nashville prior to the Idol. I mean, you were playing all the clubs and everything prior to getting on the show, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this is what I knew that this was the dream, and how do you materialize that? You got to take your product to the people,
Absolutely.
You got to tour it.
Well, and you said that it's Christmas season, so now you're getting all these holiday people calling you up wanting you for all these holiday gigs, right?
Well, I call it the tree lighting tour. I'm but it's more it's very Bama, it's very Alabama centric,
right.
Home state centric. But
everybody wants you in Bama.
I'm lighting a tree in Coleman next Friday night, which by the way, some of these municipalities that have tree lighting ceremonies are absolutely just off the chain. I mean, they are amazing productions. I mean, Coleman, Alabama's, the tree lightings have gone to a whole nother level here. So I'll be in Coleman and then Owa down in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach area on next Saturday.
Tickets available for tonight's show?
Tickets are available. Yep. Looking forward to playing.
Selling them at the door? I mean, you can get tickets at the door, you think?
Yep. Come in and have a drink and enjoy Broadway. I might, who knows, I might take the harmonica and end up at Tootsie's and kind of just do that old school thing.
What time do you think you're hitting the stage?
8 o'clock, about 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm about to go down there and sound check. And thanks, Matt, and to all the
Taylor,
folks
man.
for Super Talk 99.7. I'm a big fan, always have been, always will be, and really happy about
you're going to take me to your favorite steak place in town.
Yep.
We keep promising that we're going to do that.
We're going to do it.
We're going to do that soon. And I know you have a jam-packed house tonight, and our door's always open, brother.
Go Dogs.
Go! Oh! Like hell, we saved the best for last. Go Dogs. Taylor Hicks on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Malcolm X's family brings a lawsuit regarding his death. Also, Hezbollah continues their attack on Israel. Those stories and more coming up at 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Malcolm X died? What?
Nice try.
Breaking news. 615-737-9986. Matt Murphy and The Drive. Brian Wilson out until this coming Tuesday. Had a little procedure on his mouth. And, of course, he's off on these Mondays and Fridays now leading up into the Christmas holiday season. Speaking of the Christmas holiday season, it is an annual tradition around these parts that we head off to the Bourbon Bash. I am saddened that I will not be there, but I will be bidding on silent auction items online for the Bourbon Bash happening this Saturday night in Franklin at the factory. And Pamela Furr, the redheaded stranger, is here to tell us all about it. Hey, Pamela.
Well, hello, Matt Murphy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Taylor Hicks says hello.
I love Taylor Hicks, and you know that.
I do.
I think he's incredible.
I do. You've been trying to get him at the Bourbon Bash for a year or two, right?
I have, yeah, and so it just didn't work out this year, so we'll have to do it next year.
Well, absolutely. But you've got a lot of hot items at the Bourbon Bash. Tell me what's happening at the factory tomorrow.
Well, first of all, tickets are still on sale, so if you go to bourbonbashtix.com, Bourbon Bash Tix, you can still get tickets. And we've got the Tim Shelton Syndicate playing because we couldn't get Taylor Hicks. So we've got the Tim Shelton Syndicate playing. And then we have, there's this famous wrestler, I think his name is Kane. He's going to be there. Glenn Jacobs, the mayor of Knox County, will be our keynote speaker. And we'll have lots of bourbon. We will have a live auction. We've got a silent auction. We've got food. And we won't have you because you're going to the Georgia game. Excuse me. But we will have lots and lots of folks there at the Bourbon Bash.
Those are the reports.
Those are the
reports.
Those are the rumors.
Those are the rumors. I don't know that I buy them. I might pop up in a bourbon barrel. You never know.
There you go. You never know. Actually, that would be kind of fun.
That would be
but
good
no, seriously speaking, Matt, thank you for your support over the years since you've been in town, and we really will miss you this year. But there will be a lot of folks there. Joan Jones is coming for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be really, really cool. So if you've never met Joan Jones, you can come to the Bourbon Bash and meet her face.
And meet Pamela Furr, who is the big star of the show at the Bourbon Bash. Anglin Jacobs, Kane from WWE. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
Go to Bourbon. Real quick,
I do need to say this. It is to benefit the Gary Sinise Foundation. That's the most important part.
Yes.
Very, very pleased to be supporting them this year. People may not know this, but they actually were boots on the ground during Helene. They served those who were serving, the first responders. So they provided food and tents and showers and all kinds of things for those who were helping the victims of the hurricane in East Tennessee and West North Carolina. So this is a great organization that helps military families, and they help first responders. So
it is one of the favorite events around these parts every single year. Bourbon Bash TIX.com. Is that right?
TIX, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for letting me come on and tell the folks.
Absolutely.
And it should be a good time. And even if I'll say this too, if you don't mind, even if you can't come, if you want to bid on some of the items, I can send you a link. Just send me an email, Pamela at 997WTN.com. You can still find me there, and you can find me on socials, and I can send you the link, and you can bid on some of the items that, again, will go for this wonderful charity.
If you're bidding against me, because I'm bidding on a lot of these items because I love, love, love a silent auction. Thank you, Pamela Furr, 58 after the hour on Super Talk.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Wilson with your market report. The Dow down 305 today, S&P down 78, the NASDAQ down 427. A lot of red on the board. What's driving all that? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, kind of a rough day on the market. Stocks fell pretty sharply today. It was red across the board. Actually finished negative for the weekend. Now the market's given back about half of the gain it's had since the election. So a couple things are going on. We've got stronger than expected economic data. On the good news of that, the Fed with inflation, they want to see the jobs market continue to cool. That seems to be happening, but boy, consumer spending continues to be strong. So that has the Fed somewhat concerned, and the betting man in Wall Street is kind of 50-50 that we're going to see another rate cut in December. Of course, the market wants to see that. They want to see rate cuts to make capital cheaper. So a couple things going on, the market getting a little bit nervous about that. So going to have to pay attention to that really closely.
Thank you, John. And to find out about all the things that John Maxon and the good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement, just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com.
It's 4 o'clock. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories at full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. News overseas as ceasefire talks have continued. Hezbollah continues to launch attacks in Israel today. ABC's Britt Clinette with more.
One of the aims of this ground operation, of course, is to allow Israelis who are displaced from their homes in the north by that rocket fire to be able to return home. But despite the damage to Hezbollah infrastructure and those top assassinations, they do continue to fire into Israeli territory, announcing 12 attacks today.
A new focus on the death of Malcolm X ahead of a series of planned events across the country next year, marking what would have been his 100th birthday in May. One of the daughters of Malcolm X and the family's legal team announcing a $100 million lawsuit against the U.S. government today at the memorial site in Manhattan where Malcolm X was fatally shot while speaking in 1965. During a news conference this morning, Malcolm X's daughter and her attorneys saying the new evidence will prove the NYPD, FBI, and CIA conspired to assassinate Malcolm X.
We seek justice for the assassination of our father and that the truth will be recorded in history.
News in Texas, the path has been cleared for the lethal injection of Texas death row inmate Robert Robertson. ABC's Jim Ryan has an update on the man convicted of killing his daughter in 2002.
Robert Robertson was set for execution last month when the Texas Supreme Court halted the procedure to allow the 57-year-old to testify before a legislative committee. In the end, Robertson did not appear, but his supporters did and argued that he was wrongly convicted and sentenced to die. Now the Supreme Court has removed its temporary block, saying its authority had been circumvented by state lawmakers. No new execution date has been set. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News. Still had that accident near the BNA Airport, I-40 eastbound before Briley Parkway East, exit 215. And another one on 65 southbound at Trinity Lane, exit 87. And we have a new accident in South Nashville, I-24 eastbound at Murfreesboro Pike, exit 52. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hour number 2 of the drive starts right now, 7 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock. Hope everyone's doing well so far. Roadways are their typical Friday afternoon conditions, which isn't very good. We'll keep you up to date as we best can on the drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy in for Brian Wilson until 7 o'clock tonight. We hand off to the great one at that time. Plenty of time for you to get involved and get in here, 615-737-9986. Particularly if you have questions of a legal nature, now's a great time to get them in on the super text line, 615-737-9986, because we are just about to welcome our legal correspondent onto the show. Before we do, just to update you on everything that's going on right now, there have been no further cabinet picks thus far this afternoon that I have seen. I mean, we had RFK Jr. last night at Health and Human Services. We've had Tulsi. I mean, you've had the Doug Burgum was a selection, I guess, last night or this morning. But other than that, we've seen no future or further selections with regard to the Department of Commerce. I think the Treasury Department is probably the most prominent role that is yet to be selected by Donald Trump. The funniest aspect of this, the mainstream liberal networks that are all, I mean, you know, I've been saying for the last several days, when I watch these networks, I watch these networks for the comedy show. If I'm watching MSNBC or CNN, hashtag never CNN, CNN is a garbage network full of garbage people spewing garbage. Or any of the other alphabet soups, ABC, CBS, NBC, etc. If you watch these networks nowadays, do it for the comedy. Do it for the comedy. Do not expect reasonable or rational analysis right now because they still have not come to terms with the fact that despite their best efforts to characterize Donald Trump as literally Adolf Hitler, they failed, and they can't understand it. And so I am amused when I look up at hashtag never CNN. I watch so you don't have to. And the cry on there on the screen is that Donald Trump appoints loyalists to his cabinet. What? So you thought he was going to appoint people that hate him or liberal Democrats to his cabinet? You know, that's kind of the way all of this works, friends. That's the way that it goes. All right, with that in mind and considering some of the appointments, particularly the appointments of a legal nature, I thought we would get a lawyer on here. He's a Tennessee man. He is my legal guy. He's my attorney, my life consultant, gambling buddy, and he's a Vol man. It's Jay StClair, everybody. And he is with us to answer any and all of your legal questions. If you have any, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986, either via super text or on the phone lines. Jay StClair, as always, hello, sir. I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Jay, how are you doing?
Yes, you know, if I were any better, I would be Mrs. Beasley on this crisp fall weekend in Nashville. I bet she is fired up.
She's got a groundhog problem, Jay. She has a groundhog issue going on in the backyard.
Gary?
His name is Gary. Gary the groundhog.
Once you name him, you can't get rid of him.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. Gary is loading up on sweet taters and clover for the winter season, apparently. I know more, Jay. I know you're a creature like me that you do deep dives on subject matters. I know more about groundhogs than I ever thought that I would know.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, Jay,
I don't have any possum problems around my place.
Well, no, you've got your what do you call her? Your Secretary of Homeland Security.
That's exactly. In fact, I thought she was just about to let one out. She may be barking here a little bit, but it'll be all right.
Oh, that's all good. That just adds ambiance to the conversation. Oh, well, Jay, I want to start here, and you and I were talking a little bit. Believe it or not, people think we pregame these things, and normally not, but we got a chance to talk today, and I asked you a question, and you had some interesting analysis on this because. It's odd to me the manner in which the mainstream media is treating certain aspects of the Trump victory, and I just mentioned the fact that they're acting shocked and amazed that he's picking people that are loyal to him for his cabinet. But whatever.
Yeah.
But the one that's gotten a lot of people all hot and bothered and lathered up is the Matt Gaetz selection, And it occurred to me to ask you a question about the Attorney General and what role the Attorney General serves for the United States of America, the Department of Justice. And you encouraged me to pull it back even a little bit further and discuss what our government, what our founding fathers said about all this.
Well, no, that's exactly right, Matt. And so what I do is start at the Constitution when we're talking about things like this. And you said it very well. There's a lot of people who think of the Department of Justice as an independent agency, almost fourth branch of government. A lot of people think that. Well, it's just not true, man. If you look at Article 2 of the Constitution, the very first sentence says this: the executive power is vested in a president of the United States of America. Period.
That's the first sentence.
First sentence. The executive power. It doesn't say the executive power is vested in the president and all of the heads of any of the departments that are created by Congress. It doesn't say that, man. So the president is in charge of the entire executive branch, and that includes the Department of Justice. So much so that, and I'm not going to say that this has happened or will happen, but constitutionally, the president has the power to say to the Attorney General, who is the chief law enforcement officer in the country. That's the job, and it's a broad job, but he's the chief law enforcement officer. Well, I'll tell you what he can do. Oh, what's the song? Lazarus from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? The high sheriff told the deputy, go out and bring me Lazarus. The president can say to the Attorney General, go out and bring me X. He absolutely has the authority to do that, man. That is constitutional. Now, he might get impeached for doing it. You know, he might get thrown out of office, but he has the power to order the Attorney General to do whatever he wants him to do, including to go charge somebody with a crime. That's just that clear in the Constitution. Now, why doesn't that happen?
Well, that's right. That was the next question. So what prevents that from going on?
A couple of things. First of all is that most people, so far, with maybe one exception, 46, but most people who have been in the office of president have enough character that they wouldn't do that because they know that's wrong. That it's just weaponizing the Department of Justice is wrong.
Right.
So it never happened in the history. Well, it may have happened in little places. Certainly a lot of people probably think they've been targeted over time because of the politics.
Right.
But never has a candidate for president ever been charged with a crime until here recently. And so I think that's the main reason, is the character of the people in the office. And then I think the other reason is this. Well, Jay, you're saying the president has this so broad power. Surely there has to be some check on that. Well, yes, there is, and it's called impeachment. I think that if a president were to go in and just order the arrest of clearly innocent people, he would be impeached. Even his own party would impeach him. And so that's the check. I'm telling you, the people that wrote the Constitution are absolutely brilliant, man. Olivia, I'm on the radio. Be quiet.
So what do you tell Olivia I said she can bark anytime she wants. Don't listen to her daddy. So that what changed, and I think I know the answer to this. I think I know a moment. I mean, it was really kind of before, I was around, but was it Nixon that changed this dynamic, or at least as far as the media wants to present the narrative in terms of the autonomy of the Department of Justice?
But no question, that had a big part of it, man. But, even before Watergate, there was a special prosecutor appointed in the Watergate matter. And, we can kind of talk about how that played out. But I think it may be more kind of in the 60s and 70s, because the civil rights movement was along. and the Department of Justice controlled a lot of that. And, you know, it was just this sort of evolution that happened really since the New Deal, that executive branches are somehow autonomous. I mean, it wasn't just the Justice Department, man. You know, it's the Department of Education.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna go run schools, and
you said
the other department.
Well, you said earlier today, and I thought you said it so well, and I want to talk about it with the audience that there is a perception that there's almost four branches. There's the legislative, the executive, the judicial, and then the administrative branch.
Right. A lot of people think that. I mean, you know, that aren't, you know, just that don't pay attention to it like we do. But there's a lot of people in government who want that. They know the Constitution, it doesn't set it up that way, but they want that because it's all these career people. Well, it's the deep state, right? That's what we come to call it. It's the deep state.
But is it not we can use the Watergate or the Nixon example. I think it's a great example of what happens when these branches come up against one another at loggerheads. I mean, and the founding fathers have a solution for that, right? So if there's
it played out in Watergate. There was a special prosecutor, and you know they were impeaching Nixon, and Nixon told his attorney general, "Go fire the special prosecutor," and the attorney general said, "I'm not going to do it. I resign." So then he went to the deputy attorney general, number 2 guy, said, "Go fire, bring me Lazarus."
Right.
And he said, "I'm not doing it. I'm quitting." So then he goes to the number 3 guy in line, and he says, "Go bring me Lazarus." And he says, "Okay."
And the third, you told me the name of the third. This is a fascinating turn of events. The guy that finally agreed to fire the special prosecutor was who?
My antitrust professor in law school, Judge Robert Bork.
And I bet nobody knew who in the world Robert Bork was then, but they found out later who Robert Bork was.
No, that's exactly right. And then, a week later, Nixon resigned. I mean, that's the check on it. He resigned because he knew he was going to get convicted on his impeachment.
Well, because the reaction of an equal branch of government, the legislative branch, at what he was doing with regard, they knew why he was firing these people. And so the answer is not to say, well, you can't fire them. The answer is to say, okay, if that's the way you're going to play it, I think we got enough votes and we're going to move forward with these articles of impeachment, and you're gone, buddy.
That's exactly right. That's exactly, you said that so well, man.
So
the solution is not to set it up as a separate autonomous branch of government. You have to amend the Constitution.
Jay is with us for another segment or two. If you have any questions for our man Jay StClair, get them in on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986, about any matter whatsoever, but particular to this matter. This is a good topic of conversation. I'm enjoying it. Hope you are as well. 21 after the hour. This is The Drive on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It is always a pleasure talking with you about sponsors that I also enjoy at my home. And let me tell you something. I don't know what we'd do without U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest provides incredible protection for your home. And yes, even in the winter months, you need monthly protection with U.S. Pest. J.K. and Erica Brister are fine Americans. They run a great company in Middle Tennessee, U.S. Pest. The purpose of pest control is simple. The very existence of pest control can be found in the value of its key role preventing insect and rodent-borne diseases. Now, you think, well, it's wintertime, Matt, so there's no more mosquitoes. The fleas and ticks are down. Yeah, all of those critters are coming into your crawl space. They're coming into your home, into your walls, and they want to suck off the system that you provide them. They want to eat your crumbs in your food, and they leave behind a lot of those diseases that could endanger the health of your family. Let's not let this happen to you. Let's go to uspest.com. That's uspest.com for more information, or give them a call today at 590-1260. 615-590-1260, and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only U.S. Pest.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson comments on Matt Gaetz' Ethics Committee investigation. We'll have that story and the day's closing money news at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Malinoff. It's 25 minutes after the hour. Our visit with Jay StClair continues. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is The Drive. Happy Friday to everyone. Hope you got big weekend plans. Hope your team wins unless your team is the Tennessee Volunteers, in which case I just can't wish for that. Jay will, I guarantee you, I would be willing to bet every dollar I have in my pocket, which is about like 14 of them, that Jay StClair will not be up for the end of that Tennessee Vols Georgia Bulldog game.
Right.
I'd be willing to bet that.
Yep.
But I bet your son will.
Oh, no, absolutely. He'll have his son up.
That's right.
They're all in. But no, that's past my bedtime.
Continuation of that process, though. How many games did you go to with Chuck over the years?
A bunch. We used to have season tickets. And, here's the deal, Matt. My first college football game that I saw in my life was as a freshman at the University of Tennessee.
Wow.
Just something my dad wasn't interested in, and so I never went to a college football game. And it's a lot of fun, and so a promise I made to myself is that my son will have that experience. And we did, and it's lifetime memories. You've heard us talk about the various things that happened at the games.
Didn't you rush the field? Did you rush the field?
Well, it was 1998. It was the Florida game. And that's the year they won the national championship, And Chuck said it came down to the last second field goal. And he said, "Hey, if they win, I'm going to the field." And I said, "Knock yourself out, Chuck." And so he was 18 years old, and I was, I guess, well, let's see, that would have put me at 40. No, maybe, yeah, I was 40. And so they won. He took off, and and everybody else did, and I could.
Because you were being the grown-up. That's the kids doing that. I'm just going to sit.
And I said, I couldn't stand it. So I took off too. Well, there's a 6-foot chain link fence around the field. It doesn't have a little pointy things at the top, but it's 6 feet high. So you got to scale the fence, and I got up there, and I couldn't hike my leg up over. And it took 3 or 4 times. But
you didn't get any help? You didn't get a little vault? You didn't have any volunteers down there helping you?
Everybody for themselves. Nobody stopping to help anybody. Oh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
That's awesome. All right, a lot of questions coming in, Jay. I want to get to as many as we can. Does Keith have a question in there? Keith's got a question for Jay StClair out of Murfreesboro. Keith, you're on with Jay StClair on the Drive.
Hey, Jay. Hey, guys. Appreciate your show. I've got a lot of guys that I'm around at work and stuff that did not vote this time around because they thought that their vote didn't matter because they don't understand how the Electoral College does work.
Right.
Is that something that you could kind of help explain and maybe even make a bigger difference, for the upcoming elections and stuff like that? Just a little explanation on that, how it works, please.
No, every vote counts. It really does. My grandfather was from Murfreesboro. I love Murfreesboro. There's a StClair Street in Murfreesboro.
How about that?
And I'm pretty sure his name, that's my family. So I love Murfreesboro. Absolutely. It's not a national election, and I'm sure that man has talked about this a lot. It is a state-by-state election. And so your vote absolutely matters. And it matters not only at the president level, but also for local races. I mean, you can get down to some very local races. And some of these races now are decided by razor-thin margins. And so everybody needs to get out and vote. Everybody's vote matters. It absolutely matters.
Well, that's right. And I reiterate it as much as I possibly can, particularly during presidential election years, because sadly, because I don't even suggest that the mainstream media is doing this on purpose. They just have a tendency of oversimplifying things, and they present it as a national election. It's not. It's 50 separate elections, and we get together and all right, how'd y'all vote? Well, how'd y'all vote? Well, how'd y'all vote? Well, how'd y'all vote? Okay, well, I guess he's president then.
No, well, it's the brilliance of the founding fathers. I mean, they saw the danger of a national election. They were going to not let one state dominate all the other
They
states.
had no interest in New York City and Boston, Massachusetts. The people of Virginia, Virginia was pretty populated then too, but let's say the people of South Carolina and Georgia, they had no interest in Boston and New York deciding every president.
Or Rhode Island or New Hampshire.
That's right.
They said, no, we're equal, because they were all equal states.
That's right.
People got to understand, at first it was Articles of Confederation. That's just brilliant, man. It's absolutely brilliant. The whole thing.
Jay, I just had a camera malfunction, so I'm going to go fix this. We're going to do the news. I got Jay in just a moment answering questions on the super text line, which is coming up, 615-737-9986. One more segment with our man Jay StClair right after this.
It's 4:30. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories, that full forecast, and traffic in 5 minutes. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he doesn't think the House Ethics Committee should release the findings of its investigation into Florida Republican Matt Gaetz because he's no longer a member of Congress. Gaetz resigned this week after President-elect Trump nominated him for Attorney General. The House Ethics Committee was investigating Gaetz over alleged allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, though, telling reporters that he believes that the House Ethics Committee should not release the report because, in his view, it would break precedent because the committee doesn't have jurisdiction is the word Johnson used, over a member of Congress if they're no longer a member of Congress anymore. He says they have jurisdiction in investigating Gaetz when he was in the House, but because he's no longer in the House, the committee has to wash its hands of all of this and not turn over the report.
Here's Money News. Michelle Franzen.
ABC News, Wall Street now. Stocks with a mixed showing today. The Dow ending up 47 points. The S&P nearly 2 points. And the NASDAQ down 50. The tech-heavy NASDAQ took a slight loss. This comes as the latest consumer index report shows a slight rise in inflation in the month of October, up 2.6% from 2.4% in September. A bright spot for American drivers. Gas prices have fallen more than 12% from this year. Grubhub has a new owner after European food delivery giant JustEatTakeaway.com sold the platform to New York-based Wonder Grub for $650 million. JustEatTakeaway.com acquired Grubhub back in 2021 for more than $7 billion. GM issued a recall for around 462,000 pickup trucks, including models of the Silverado and Sierra, because the rear wheels can lock up, increasing the risk of a crash. The company reported more than 1,800 instances of wheel lockup that could be related to the issue. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News. Still have that accident near the BNA Airport, I-40 eastbound before Bradley Parkway East, exit 215. And we have another accident, I-24 westbound at James Robertson Parkway, exit 48. Looking at the downtown Nashville area, rush hour traffic is hitting pretty hard. 40 east and west and 65 north and south, all stop and go. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections. No lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and The Drive. Thank you for being around. 38 minutes after the hour. Happy Friday to you. Hope it's all going well. I know it's not going that well if you're on the roadways. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Say it.
You. I mean, I don't have anything to do with it. I don't know.
I thought you were going to say you don't care.
I mean, I care. I can't do anything about it. I wish I could. I wish I could make it better for everyone.
Well, you know what? Just give them a go Vols one time for those people. Give them one.
That is not going to happen. Maybe next week, maybe the week. I mean, any week but this week, Jeff.
Well, I'm here for the people right now.
Are you a Vol guy?
I went to the University of Arizona. We're terrible right now, so right now I'm a Vol guy.
Uh-huh.
Go Vols.
So you're just doing that, just any port in a storm? You just whatever?
This is absolutely pandering for sure.
Yeah, he's just sucking up to the audience. That's what it is.
I think they like me. You guys like me anyways, right? I mean, I'm not Georgia or Bama fan. God forbid.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I think a majority of our listeners hate those schools with a passion.
I think you need a bigger shovel because you're not digging hard enough, deep enough. That's what I think. You know what people like on this radio station, Malinoff? Personal integrity.
Oh, if it was the other way around, if Tennessee was playing Arizona, I would say bear down, but they would get crushed anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Uh-huh.
So
you're just picking the Tennessee Volunteers because you're just going to float with the wind.
Well, honestly, right now Tennessee's got the momentum, and Georgia coming off a bad loss. I mean, that's not looking good. Carson Beck's he's just not looking his best right now, and I think his confidence is shaken.
I don't disagree with that football analysis. I agree with that. All right, we'll take this up at some other time. I've got to talk to Jay StClair. We got questions to answer of a legal variety, and Jay StClair is just the man to do it. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Our man Jay StClair, our legal expert, one of my best friend, my life consultant, my gambling buddy. We also do real estate from time to time. We got it all going on. So let's see. Oh, I lost my prep page here, Jay, when my camera went down. You had a question right in your alley about here we go. Love Jay StClair. That's pretty good. From 99.25. Can you please tell me what the guidelines are for using paid sick leave for hours missed, which fall under? See, this. I'm going to pause my question for a second. This is the type of question that I love asking you because this is right in your wheelhouse, and I have no idea what any of this means, okay? I have no idea what any of this means, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Can you please tell me what the guidelines are for paid sick leave for hours missed, which fall under intermittent FMLA leave?
Yeah, that's a great question, and here is the answer. The company can force you to use paid sick leave for intermittent FMLA leave. They can force you to do that, and it's their choice. If they don't, then you can use it if they analogize it to other types of leave. So if you have like bereavement leave or other kinds of leaves like that, if they let people use paid sick leave when they're doing that, then they can do it in FMLA. My guess is the reason you're asking this question is the company's probably making you use that, and they can do that. But if you're asking it because they're not letting you do that, I would be very surprised if that is not allowed under their policy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm either way you're asking the question. Hopefully I'm answering it. If the company's making you do it, use it, they can do that. And frankly, I'll just be honest with you. That's one of the ways companies try to manage misuse of intermittent FMLA leave. If people have to burn up their paid sick days.
Jay, I was publicly educated in Georgia. I like to preface what I'm about to say by saying that. What is FMLA leave?
I try not to get too technical.
No, I mean, I'm curious.
Family medical leave. So if somebody has a condition, a health condition, let's say they got, I'll tell you what, we see lots of migraines or back problems. And it just flares up from time to time, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to take off for 3 or 4 weeks. They just maybe have to take off 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
I got migraines today, and it's an ongoing thing. By law, the company has to give them that day off, but they can make them use up their paid sick days when they're doing that.
Well, Jay, I mean, and I'm not asking this question to be a smart behind, but I really mean it. I mean, but isn't that what sick days are for?
Yeah, but a lot of people say, "Well, I would rather choose when I use them." This comes up a lot in my practice. You're exactly right. I can write a book about it.
Well, I mean, and I remember when I was, when I had when the company Cumulus Media that I still work for made the horrible mistake of putting me in charge of people down in Birmingham, where I would have employees, and I'm not going to name them. And this is just not the way I think. I mean, my pa raised me, right, Jay? So I would have guys come to me and say, "Hey, I need to take a sick day next month."
Right.
And I'd be like,
because my kids got to play at school.
All right. And I'd be like, okay, so you mean you need to take a vacation day next month? No. I want to use a sick day.
Right.
and of course,
people game the system. That's right, and that's why you're away from.
I think Jay got into it.
That better. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, and this is a topic that you and I have talked about quite a bit, and I love teeing this up, and I promise I didn't write this question. 6357 wrote this question. How do the employees within the bureaucracy of Washington, D.C. have the power to put all of these regulations on businesses? Jay, I promise you, based on the conversation we had, I did not write that question.
Well, it's a great question, and we talked about this a lot. And here is the answer. For decades, Congress has quit doing their job. And my best example, the one I like the most, is the Occupational Safety and Health Act, the law that created OSHA, right, the federal agencies that oversees safety in the workplace. And that law really comes down to two sentences, Matt. Sentence one, every workplace in this country must be safe.
Okay.
That's what it says.
Okay.
Sentence number two, we hereby give the Department of Labor authority to issue regulations to enforce this law. And that's all it says.
That's what Congress passed, right?
That's what Congress passed. And so then that gives the Department of Labor, all these people that the questioner is talking about, the authority to go write these regulations. So the law, the real meat of the law, Matt, is a paragraph. The regulations are thousands of pages long. And that's just one example. Same thing with of environmental EPA, environmental protection. Companies shall not pollute. We hereby give the Environmental Protection Agency the authority to issue regulations to enforce this law.
Final question.
And those regulations are tens of thousands.
Well, and you're right, and hopefully Congress will take an opportunity to do its job, and the remedy here is to insist that our elected representatives in the legislative branch of government write the full law. Don't hand it off to the executive branch.
Giving power to unelected bureaucrats to, in effect, write the law. That's what they've done. They've ceded their authority to unelected bureaucrats. Now, if they don't want a law, then don't have it. But don't write a law that says you're going to give a bunch of people who haven't been elected the authority to write the law.
Yeah, but that's hard work, writing the law, Jay.
I know. Well, they only get paid $180,000 a year being Congressman. You can't expect them to.
Well, Dale writes in, and it's very related, I think. Ask Jay about the SCOTUS Chevron opinion and the executive branch and how it applies to all of this.
Well, that's right. And then, they're whittling back on it. In the Chevron case, it's this. If a law is ambiguous and the agency that is charged with enforcing that law makes one interpretation that's reasonable, we have to defer to their interpretation, even if we would interpret it differently. And there's a great example here, and if I'm talking too much, let me know, but I love this. Ask your, maybe you can talk about it later, but what's your producer's name?
Chris Weber.
Hey, Chris, what if I were to call somebody a Nimrod? You Nimrod.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I would say it means not very intelligent.
Exactly right. And a lot of people would say that. That is not the meaning of Nimrod. Nimrod is a hunter. A hunter. If I had asked you that question 70 years ago, you would say, well, Nimrod means a hunter. He's a biblical character. One entity, one character changed single-handedly the meaning of the word Nimrod. And you will never get, I'm going to give you a hint. It's a cartoon character. And it's a rabbit.
Bugs Bunny.
He called Elmer Fudd, hey, Nimrod. And he was calling him that because he was a hunter.
But everybody thought he meant dummy.
Dummy. They didn't know that was meant hunter. And so if you were to count a law, and Justice Scalia, there's a whole story, it's a true story about all this. If you go ask your law clerks, this guy said to Justice Scalia, they have a law that says every Nimrod must have a license.
Okay.
So every Nimrod you must have a Nimrod you must have a license to be a Nimrod. And then you go ask people nowadays, well, what is a Nimrod? And they're going to say, well, it's a doofus.
Right.
That's not what that law means.
My favorite is when Jay, I'm sorry, you know I'm somewhat of a Nimrod. My favorite is when Bugs Bunny called him a maroon. What a maroon.
I saw where you got on.
I got on that. What a maroon. So finally, let me see. Final technical question, and I think this will be a real easy one for you, and we'll finish up here. Can my company change the shift I work depending on the needs of the company with no additional compensation?
Yes. Yep. There's one word answer to that is yes. By law, they can. It's not, it's not good practice. And in today's economy, it's so hard to get people to work. Companies are becoming more and more employer friendly. But the answer to your question is yes, they can do that.
And our good friend, I'll finish up here. Our good friend Richard Miner in Alabama wants you to know that if you're available, we need justice for Peanut and Fred the raccoon, and he wants to know if you're available for legal consultation.
So was it Gorsuch?
Gorsuch brought it up. He brought up that case.
He was talking about government.
Boy. I think we ran out of time. Jay? Yeah. No, I lost you for a second, Jay. But, yeah, he was talking about government overreach, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
And he said, yeah, he brought up Peanut.
Jay, love you, brother. Take care. Always fun.
Good luck to the dogs.
Oh, I like that. Well, good. Best of luck to the University of Tennessee, Jay. There you go. I'd say that's how civilized folks do that. 52 after the hour. Get to more of your telephone calls in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and The Drive.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. That full forecast in traffic in 5 minutes. Amid a long-standing financial crunch at TSU, the school has cut ties with 114 employees. The layoffs, part of a larger plan to get the university back on sound financial footing after years of mismanagement, according to the state comptroller, Jason Mumpower.
They're gone, and they've left this situation where literally you were going to fail to make payroll on November 29th if you had not had an infusion of cash from the state, which we fortunately have been able to do.
The school's plan includes hiring freeze, a spending freeze, and a strategic realignment. 2 people are injured after a foam battery caught fire on a Southwest Airlines plane at a gate in Denver tonight. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
1 person has minor injuries from the evacuation, and the owner of the cell phone that caught fire, Southwest says, was treated for burns. The Boeing 737 was at the gate in Denver getting ready to leave for Houston when the phone battery caught fire. It ignited a seat cushion, which the crew put out. Passengers in the front of the plane walked out through the front door and into a jet bridge. In the back of the plane, passengers went down emergency slides to get out. The FAA is investigating. Alex Stone, EBC News.
News in Nashville. A teen was shot in North Nashville on Friday this afternoon, according to the Metro Nashville Police Department. Police said a 17-year-old was shot at about 3 p.m. near the Discount Tobacco Center in the 1700 block of Jenkins Street. The teen's injuries are believed to be non-life-threatening and is being treated at a local hospital. MNPD is searching for the suspect who was wearing black jeans and a red shirt at the time of the shooting. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News. Got an accident I-65 southbound, exit 61. That's Paytonsville Road, Goose Creek bypass. And downtown Nashville area seeing that heavy volume of traffic on 65 north going into downtown Nashville, as well as 40 on to 24 Laverne and Antioch. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is indeed the drive just after 5 o'clock. Hope your drive home's going well so far, if that be what you're doing. Wherever you're listening, in your home, automobile, place of business, or wherever you might be, we thank you for that. My name is Matt Murphy, in for Brian Wilson on the drive. Good afternoon. Happy Friday to you. Middle of the month, November. Oh, it's payday for some folks.
Well, not for me.
I forgot. Thank you.
We don't get paid around here.
Oh,
Well,
wait.
I mean-
Right. I forgot about that part.
Well, I mean, the performers get paid. I don't even know what that means. I don't know why I'm lashing. I don't know. That's the first thing that came out of my. It's that time of the week. It's been a long week. It's been a crazy week though. Has it blown by for you?
No,
Or does
like
it
a regular week to me?
Does it kind of behind the glass? You know, I don't ask you this often enough, Chris. Chris Webber's behind the glass, obviously, and behind him in News Closet B is Jeff Malinoff, who's subbing in for Ken Weaver. Ken Weaver off today, this afternoon. Brian Wilson off today as well. Had a little tooth surgery, and if you've not heard, he's off on these Mondays and Fridays now, leading up to his quote unquote official full-time retirement. That's what we call it because he's going to be around. He's going to be doing a lot of things with the radio station. Cross our fingers, we hope, in the 2025 and well beyond that. That is on December 24th, however. So you'll hear my voice, much to the delight of some, to the chagrin of most others, Mondays and Fridays from 3 until 7 o'clock. But I don't ask you this question enough. I mean, for you, does it change for you behind the glass there? I mean, depending on
whether you're here or whether it's Brian.
Well, I mean, I know that does. I imagine. I mean, I think the quality of the programming goes down precipitously when yours truly is around. But I mean, it just occurs to me that functionally everything's kind of. I mean, no matter what the news is, you're doing kind of the same things in there.
Yeah, but no, it does have an effect though. I mean, because I absorb so much of it. Because quite frankly, I'm not a news person. Like I'm not in this world 24/7 like you guys are that have to talk about it every day.
Right.
I mean, you have to be to a certain degree, and I am not. But I do hear it and absorb it all day. So yeah, it depends. You know, it's been a very good week the last week.
I would think, and I don't want to lay this on you if it's not true, but I would think it's an energy thing too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Were you producing Brian's show in 2020?
Yeah.
After the election of 2020?
Yep.
I would think the week after that election, it was a decidedly different energy than the week after that.
I'm sure it was. I really don't remember, though.
Boy, I do.
Yeah.
I do. There was a lot of long faces. And it's funny, and I try to remind myself of this, and it leads me right into the conversation that we're about to have with our good friend Cameron Smith. I try to remind myself of these things. I remember what life was like for me and for our team in the aftermath of 2020, and you kind of remember that when you think about the people that genuinely think differently than we do about the role of government, the role of the United States of America's government, the role of a president or a Congress or any of the bureaucracy that we've been talking about, because there's a lot of folks that are very disillusioned. Sadly, those people were led by individuals who knew better when they were told that democracy is going to end with this election cycle, that this would be the last election in American history should should the outcome be different than the one that we would want. But enough about Elon Musk. I turned it on him. See what I did there? I turned him on him. But we can joke like that because we did win. And now it seems that many in the mainstream media are shocked and amazed, just shocked and amazed that Donald Trump is picking loyalists for his cabinet. This is the line that has gotten me most amused. We can talk about individual selections, and we will in this hour. We're going to talk to you on the phone, 615-737-9986, and we're going to talk to our good friend Cameron Smith of the Tennessean. He writes for other publications, but that's the one we know best. But you can talk about Matt Gaetz. We can talk about Tulsi Gabbard. We can talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But generally speaking, the cry-on that's been going on CNN more than any, and I smile every time I say it, is Donald Trump is picking loyalists for his cabinet. It's like, well, he's not going to pick his political enemies for his. I mean, why wouldn't he pick people?
I'm trying to keep a straight face.
Right. Cameron Smith, Georgia. What's up, man?
You know, I find the other one that I love is, well, serious people will know you shouldn't nominate this person.
Right.
Well, serious people. Who are these people that are like, I'm a very serious person. I do serious person things.
My name is John Bolton, and this is a ridiculous election.
These are deeply unserious people. Well, okay, help me understand this. What makes a serious person? They're liberal? And I think that's the answer that I'm gleaning here, that
leftist approved.
Yes, and I was thinking back to Thanksgiving of 2020 when I was thinking about the family that I wouldn't spend time with because of reasons of politics.
We were told we had to back then, right?
Yes. You will suck it up. You cannot allow politics to divide your family. Now is it a psychologically safe place? And the answer is, it has never been. Have you been to Thanksgiving with family?
Right.
If it is a safe place, somebody has died.
Crazy Uncle Earl gets in the liquor cabinet, and suddenly he's screaming and yelling about something.
Yes, and I know exactly what happens with that. You're like, oh, here's a bottle of Old Fitzgerald. Well, my grandfather left that, and it's been passed. Yes, let's go. Okay, and then politics comes out, and welcome to America.
And welcome to America.
Yeah.
Exactly. But no, it's different now.
But stop it. I mean, stop the thing about the emotional fragility of everybody is driving me into the warm embrace of Donald Trump, which is so uncomfortable for me. I'm like, that guy's not.
Come on over here, Cameron. Right. Get on over here, big guy.
I'm like, I am being a serious person. I am like, that's bad. That's good. I like that. I don't like that. Okay. But all you folks out there who are, I watched Elizabeth Warren in her mansion comfort everybody after the election on social media. And I was just like, this is so weird.
While you were doing that, I was watching AOC remove her pronouns from her Twitter profile for some reason. I wonder why she did that.
You know,
maybe because she might seem crazy, but she's not dumb enough to not realize how some of her crazy might have impacted some of what's going on in America.
Well, she also looked at Tulsi Gabbard and like, that looks like fun. Maybe I want to do that. I mean, you never know. It's a wild time.
So you're invited to get in on the conversation. We're going to dive deep into some of this. And you and I haven't had a real chance. I mean, we've had one opportunity to talk on it. But now that we are seeing some of the process play out, let me ask you broadly. I have been pleasantly surprised. Let's not talk about individual picks. I mean, he was ready. He was ready to go with these picks because you got to talk to the people. You got to make sure that they're ready to go. I mean, we've still got several to talk about, Treasury, Commerce, some of the transportation, whatever, but he's ready to go on these picks, boy.
Well, we should talk about him because it's the last time we're going to talk about him for the next 4 years, more than likely, because, the Secretary of Commerce, it just doesn't get much airtime.
Nope.
And so here's what I know is that.
But by the way, I'm gonna call myself out real quick.
Do it.
I do this for a living.
Yep.
I do not think I could tell you who the Secretary of Commerce is. In fact, I know I can't.
I don't think. I'm trying to think.
Energy?
I can tell you who the director of GAO is.
I know who the Attorney General is.
Right. I mean,
right. Yeah.
And
you know Merrick Garland. You know what's
Right.
his Secretary of State Goober, whatever his name.
Buttigieg's
right.
transportation.
He won't get off TV, but
he likes trains.
He does. He was mayor of South Bend.
Did you? I knew that.
Our Pete's better than your Pete.
I mean, here's what I know is that the people that voted against Democratic inertia. They're like, we don't want more of what's happened with the Democrats. We need to change things. And so the idea that Trump was going to nominate people who basically continued the same stuff is insane.
The most exciting aspect of this, to me, is the Department of Government Efficiency, which as soon as he said something about it, our liberal friends on the Main Street, that's not a real thing. Well, no, it's not a real thing, but it's about to be. Because I think they're serious about trying to identify ways that government has been inefficient. And it's funny because it has boxed some liberals into a corner where they attempt to argue that government's efficient.
Yeah. Yep. It's awkward. And I, you know what? It may never become a thing. But
it's a good idea. It's a good discussion.
What we just need somebody, if they do nothing else other than ask the question, what would you say you do here? Like, that's a win.
It's exactly right. That's what I thought of. And if you don't know the reference, it's Office Space.
It's the Bobs.
From Office Space. And so what do you say you do here?
Right. We should play that because that, to me, that whole sequence is basically what needs to happen because I was filling in for Chris Hand the other day, and I just looked up the alphabetical list of the federal agencies, and I started reading them off, and I asked callers, call in and tell me what this agency does. And nobody knows.
Well, and the other day, I looked it up, and it was so unbelievable. I said 4 times while I was relating the story, I promise you I'm not making this up, that we spent last fiscal year, we spent $520 billion on federal programs that had all expired.
Yes.
And the oldest one expired in 1980.
Yes.
And we're still spending money. I mean, I don't know where the money goes. I don't know. And no one seems to be able to answer that question.
Well, I mean, we have the same rough amount in basically improper payments. So we pay people money we don't owe them. That's not even governmental efficiency. That's kind of dumb, guys. We should stop. And yet we just sort of head nod. And that's where I do think.
No. He's not being fired. We're just fixing the glitch, right?
We're just fixing the
glitch.
We need to fix this glitch. It's been happening for a long time. And, Democrats are hand-wringing right now saying, well, people in the bureaucracy are afraid for their jobs. Well, yeah, that's kind of the idea, man. Like, it's blazingly inefficient, and we know it.
By the way.
You do it in a tech is you take the specifications from the customers and you bring them down to the software engineers.
Yes, that's right. Well, then I just have to ask, why couldn't the customers just take them directly to the software people, huh? Well, I'll tell you why. Because engineers are not good at dealing with customers.
So you physically take the specs from the customer?
Well, no, my secretary does that, or the fax.
So then you must physically bring them to the software people.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean, sometimes.
What would you say you do here?
Well, look, I already told you. I deal with the goddamn.
Oh, wait, I gotta cut that out.
That's quick move there.
Yeah, thanks. I forgot. He kind of loses his mind there. I told you, I deal with it. I'm a people person,
and probably a Democrat, if we're honest.
Well, but that's what we're talking about, right?
Yes, and that to me, as I've been a Hill staffer, an attorney on the Hill, trying to get people to say, "Hey guys, this is dumb." I've literally written the white papers, pointed out the facts, here's the information, and there's just this inertia that says, I'm going to outlast this current administration. So you can try, but by the time you get something fully formulated, it'll be over.
I had a conversation several years ago with our mutual good friend, Congressman Gary Palmer, and he said, I think he was over a committee. I think the Republicans were in charge, and he told me the story about he was trying to set a committee up in a certain way, and one of these little staffer bureaucrats said, no, we don't do it that way around here. And he goes, well, I'm the chair of the committee. This is the way I want to do it. No, we don't do it that way. And it was like in this moment, and like the guy was dead serious. No, we don't do it that way. And he said he pushed back in a way that indicated to me, look, I'll be here long after you're gone, bud. And he's like, that's the bureaucracy pushing back against the people that are elected to represent you.
It happens all the time. And even in ways that you might think, well, they're on our team, right? They're people. I went to Republicans on House Armed Services Committee, and I was the director of the House Republican Policy Committee. And I said, hey, guys, so here's some reports about real inefficiencies at DOD, like in the military procurement and some of the stuff we're doing. Like, couldn't we, like, save some money here? And literally, same thing, said, we don't do that. And I'm, excuse me? Well, if you reduce the budget here because you weed out inefficiency, that lowers funding for the military. And I said, but you're not funding the military. You're funding inefficiency. Well, yeah, but we don't want those levels to go down because that would be bad for us politically. So let's just not mess with that.
I made my bones in Montgomery, Alabama way back when I was a 20-something-year-old snot-nosed doing talk radio because I got a tip that Secretary of State Nancy Worley at the time, in August, fiscal year ends at the end of September, and she's worried about getting the same amount of money and a 5% increase the next year. And so she just started spending money on, like, computers and she spent money on automobiles that they did not need, items that they absolutely did not need. And when questioned on it, well, if we don't do that, we're not going to get the same budget next year.
That's the mind of a bureaucrat.
That's the mind of a bureaucrat. 22 after the hour, Cameron's with us. You can get in on the conversation on this Friday edition of The Drive, 615-737-9986. I know many of you heading home for what I hope to be a fabulous weekend. We appreciate you weekend warriors that make that possible. We'll get you caught up on the roadways and everything else in just a moment on The Drive. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Tyson versus Paul is tonight. Also, a woman died after a stabbing this morning in Nashville. Those stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 26 minutes after the hour, and a good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. The drive. What does Wilson say? Drive liberals crazy, help you get the drive home safe and sound, make the drive a little better.
Drive home a few salient points.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
See, that one I don't see. I don't really know what salient means.
I don't either. I thought it had something to do with water, but I guess not.
He does live in Watertown.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So that would
saline is different, I've heard.
Then say, yeah, okay, sure.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense, too. Somebody asked me if and I guess this is a person that hasn't been listening throughout the day because, Brian did the stock market report earlier. We heard him do the stock market report, and somebody said, Brian's tongue sounds thick. It's like, well, he did have...
He had a root canal.
He had a root canal today.
The stock market is up.
The stock market is reacting to the dollar competitive.
Yeah.
We got a couple of calls. Get to them real quick. Bonnie in Tullahoma. We're going to get to individual nominees in a moment with Cameron Smith, our good friend. Bonnie, what's going on?
Yes, I just wanted to say hi.
Hey, Bonnie.
I had a good time at the Trump deal that y'all had.
Our election night watch party. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Wasn't that fun?
Nice to meet you. And I'm just looking forward to a weekend this weekend and so I can relax.
Amen.
Well,
I've been working all week. I'm tired.
Well, Bonnie, I'm glad that you get a couple of days off to recharge the batteries.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to know, why are you working so late? You were on another schedule.
And thank you for the call, Bonnie, and thank you for the question. Keep listening on air, and I'll tell you. So I know that we have, there's comers and goers constantly in the radio business, right? The turnover, for those that don't know, and I appreciate folks that listen all day long from, Dan Mandis at 5 a.m. to Brian Wilson at 7 p.m. and to Mark Levin and beyond. But I know some of you maybe haven't heard. So Brian Wilson announced last Friday that he was retiring full-time as of December 24th. So he would no longer be doing a full-time schedule. However, at that time, he also said that he was going to be, because of the holidays and all the schedules and everything, that he would be working a limited weekday schedule. So he's on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from now until December 24th. I am doing Mondays and Fridays. I know it's very confusing. So on Mondays and Fridays, I'm on from 3 to 7. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm on from noon to 3. When I'm on from 3 to 7, Chad Benson's on for me. When I'm on for me, Chad Benson's not here. Everybody got that so far?
Chad has a lot more tattoos than you.
He does.
Just saying.
He's a good addition. I like him. I like him.
I was expecting you the other day when I was filling in for Chris, and this, bald dude with all these tattoos just came and sat down while I'm, wrapping up the show. And I've never met Chad before. And I'm like, okay.
Cameron's like, okay.
We're
about to have a fight, I guess.
You sound great, man. I like your voice. So the moral of the story is, if you ever want to do live radio, just wander in.
Yeah.
And you can sit down. And we like to talk to people.
If you can get in the building, we'll get you on the radio.
Truth.
It's not an issue. Danny, we'll get to you in a moment. And we'll also boil down, because a lot is being made. And I feel like it's... there's a little bit of it's like a meeting, a psychological It's not an evaluation. What am I trying to say? There's a meeting going on with liberals where they're trying to console one another, maybe a consolation gathering. A grief gathering,
like
grief counseling.
The NIT of liberals,
right? So there's grief counseling going on, and part of the grief counseling is screaming and yelling about Donald Trump picking people that he likes for his cabinet, which I think that's some of what's going on. But you are exactly right. The vast majority of these people, we will not mention them again for the next 4 years.
Well, and often when I'm upset about things, I record it for social media, so people know that I'm serious.
Well, that's right.
I am deeply psychologically harmed, and therefore I record it and share it.
My favorite thing that they are doing right now is announcing, as if we're at an airport, their departure from Twitter.
Oh, Don Lemon's was great.
It was delicious. We'll discuss that as well. It's 30 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 5:30. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. That full forecast in traffic in 5 minutes. One of the most hyped boxing matches in recent memory happens tonight. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
Mike Tyson squaring off against Jake Paul, the 58-year-old Tyson slapping the 27-year-old YouTuber turned boxer at weigh-in. Despite a 31-year age gap and being a major underdog, sportsbooks report 90% of all bets are being placed on the Hall of Famer Tyson. The most popular bet? Tyson winning in the first round. Paul is betting big on himself, taking multiple million-dollar bets from fellow fighters, even staking his claimed $40 million payout.
Americans stepped up their spending last month. ABC's Sherry Preston has the latest from the Commerce Department.
Suggesting the economy is growing briskly, retail sales rose 0.4% from September to October, a solid increase, but less than the previous month. Spending was robust at car dealerships, electronic stores, and appliance stores, and to a lesser extent on bars and restaurants. Garden center store sales were also up, which could be the result of rebuilding after the hurricanes. Americans spent less last month on furniture, clothing, and at drugstores.
News in Nashville. A woman has died after a stabbing attack at a bus stop in South Nashville this morning. It happened at the intersection of Harding Place and Antioch Pike. Police credit some witnesses of the attack for holding the attacker until police could arrive. He's been arrested. WeGo says one of its bus drivers saw the attack as it was happening around 5 o'clock this morning, and he stopped the bus to call police. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News. Got an accident reported on I-40 eastbound before Alexandria Highway 141, exit 254. We have an injury accident in Antioch at Harding Place and Metroplex Drive. And in Berry Hill, we have an injury accident on Thompson Lane east of Citico Drive. Downtown Nashville's hitting pretty hard with 65 north going to downtown Nashville. A lot of stop and go there. 40 east and west, the same thing. 65 south, looking pretty good, though. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I started working in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. You know, they'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've got some letters for our man Cameron Smith. I also have some numbers for you. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be a part of this show. Happy weekend, official. 5:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN on this Friday edition. Matt Murphy in for Brian Wilson. Cameron Smith in with us as well. I've got some numbers for you. 615-737-9986. Those are for you if you want to get involved. Cameron, I've got some letters for you.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. RFK Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Liberals are freaking out over this.
And I'm looking forward to seeing beige-colored Fruit Loops. That's really what I'm excited about.
Oh, no more coloring in the the food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did it surprise you that he went HHS? I mean, I think everyone always felt like he was going to honor his promise that RFK was going to be a part of the thing and all of that.
Well, seeing as how like his inner circle was like, no way he's HHS. Yeah, I was surprised, but like, let's be honest about what's happened there. Is we've got market capture of a federal agency with a handful of large companies where people work for the agencies in question and then go to those companies.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should not do that anymore for a little while.
And I would add to that it is a problem when your government entity relies on expertise from the very companies that are going to benefit from the decision-making of the government entities.
It's better known as a conflict of interest, Matt. And we see this, right? I am for better living through science. I am not suggesting some of the, I have family members that are into essential oils, and I can tell you they don't help with the flu. Like
Well, Cameron, tell us more.
There's a lot of folks that don't believe in better living through science, and that's dumb because we have eradicated a lot of major diseases, polio being one of them, through things like vaccines, stuff like that. If RFK Jr. is going to get into that agency and say, you know what, it's really important that we don't shove stuff down people's throats, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets in there and says, I see the tomes of science here, and Well, that would be a problem, but I just don't see him doing that. I think the big issue here is that you should have choices. We should live healthier lives. He said a lot of that stuff, and I think he's probably right.
And default to freedom always.
Right.
The freedom and ability of, unless you are putting others in direct and dangerous harm's way. But sadly, that's where the gray comes in, right? Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Because we've been told from government for a long time with regard to public schools that vaccinating your children is a must. Well, I think a lot of parents are like, hold on a second, I want more say in that. And for those parents that get the information in front of them and make an informed decision about their children, that's all well and good.
Yeah. Some people got to understand, though, how vaccines actually work and principles of herd immunity and how some of this stuff goes. And when we're talking about private schools and private entities, like, okay, cool. Like, if you want to say we don't have a vaccine requirement for education, like, okay, but in public education, you know, we're going to make a call one way or the other on some of these things. And over time, we've seen the efficacy of vaccines. Should you allow exemptions? Sure, they should be for very specific and clear reasons.
Has the cloud, are we able to have this discussion? I mean, because I think it's a very important one. Where do your freedoms end? Where do liberties, where does security and freedom meet? Are we able to have this discussion so close to the cloud of COVID? Because the problem is that there's no question that there was a lot of subterfuge and a lot of lies going on during the COVID era.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was a lot of you do this or you're a bad human being going on during COVID. And a lot of people are like, I'm one of them. I'm going to push back on general principle against you telling me what I have to do because of something that you claim is absolutely necessary. Are we far enough away from that to have that discussion?
I think so. I think we should, because I was ardently against the mandates, but I got the COVID vaccine because I wanted magnetic powers, and it didn't happen. So that was really disappointing. But I do think that it's important that we have these discussions, that we hear it out and say, well, hey, here's the peer-reviewed scientific evidence. Here's what we're saying. This is what it actually means, and have that exchange. And then at times we're going to disagree, like on school vaccines, for example. And then you know what we should do? Vote and move on. I mean, school boards, give the decision points to, the entities with the right level of governmental control. Probably don't dictate out of Washington. And that's how we sort things out and move on. I mean,
I think the country would be, and, maybe our industry, maybe talk radio is not as well served. And so this might be, this might be more harmful to us than anything. I think the country would be better served paying far more attention to school board races, far more attention to city council races, far more attention to local and state races than the presidential race.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this as far as, my focus as a columnist over at the Tennessean on the editorial board of looking at state and local, because it does matter. It matters to our day-to-day. And so I hope that this station and other conservatives will start saying, okay, state policy really matters. Local policy really matters. We got to have some of these conversations, because if we're not, we're going to be in a world of pain. And the truth is, there are people with expertise. I think expertise does matter, and we need to not defer to the experts, but say, hey, you got some training. When I go to the doctor, I hope the doctor knows some stuff I don't about healthcare. And so I have to build those trusting relationships. We need to have the same thing with our governments when it comes to healthcare policy. And if we don't, we got to rebuild that trust or find people we do trust so that we don't get in this situation where there's a lot of pressure, a lot of lies, and we're expected to just kind of go along with it.
Well, and ultimately that's what degrees are for.
Right.
Right? I mean, they're not for, the government, I guess they have a role in it in a certain degree. But, when I walk, I'll give you an example of where government should intervene. Like, I'm a fierce libertarian when it comes to these things. And I do not believe that I should be forced. If I want to, quote, practice medicine and people want to come to me and I'm not a licensed doctor, I think that ultimately is up to those two entities. In the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
But I should at least, in my opinion, the government should mandate that I tell them that.
Yes.
Like, hey, by the way, I've never been to medical school, just so you know. All right, let's get to cutting or whatever.
Yeah.
Similarly, like, for people ask, well, where should government intervene? Health inspections at restaurants is a good example that I always use. because it is unreasonable. Like, if I want to know that a restaurant that I'm going to is clean, that the kitchen is clean, it is unreasonable to expect that the restaurant could accommodate every customer that says, hey, I'm going to go look through your kitchen on my own. I just need to go walk through there to make sure I want to eat here. So we empower the government to do that for us.
You're informing the marketplace.
Right.
And this is...
And then I get to decide.
You're right. Here's a good example. And this was one of the big controversial things, but credit cards. You know, now when you get a credit card, there's a summary sheet that's like, if you don't pay this, your interest rate's going to be 5,000%.
Right.
All right. Now,
if you pay the minimum payment, it's going to take you 29 years to pay this credit card.
And so now you can make an informed decision, because right when you sign up, they are required by law to tell you what's going to happen. Now, you can ignore it. You can throw away the paper, but they tell you. Now, and when Trump was talking about credit card interest rates, I said, whoa. You've informed the marketplace. They've made dumb decisions. It's not the government's job to come in and rescue them now. And I think anything that informs the marketplace is a good thing for any conservative.
615-737-9986. Danny is next up. Danny, thank you for your patience. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Good evening, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Hey, y'all, I just want to mention, y'all were talking about government waste a little bit ago, and the thing is, I want to mention, like, firsthand, I used to drive for, hopefully don't track my phone number and I get screwed over here somehow, but I used to drive for a government truck, you know, hauling trash for the government workers, and you would not believe the waste in the trash, especially when it comes towards getting your next year's budget approved. We're talking, they will put, now listen, let me put it this way. We can't touch nothing, can't take it, can't do anything. We drop it off, it gets destroyed there, and then it gets sent out to regular landfills. Nobody can touch this stuff, and it's an easier process to throw it out when you're in a hurry than to send it through the, you know, like government auction stuff, do the paperwork for that. So what they'll do is, like, you can have a beautiful, handcrafted friggin' oak desk and just immaculate piece of furniture with a little loose handle. They get some flunky to come in there, maintenance guy, say, okay, it's unserviceable desk, because they're told to do that. They fill out the paperwork, unserviceable, they throw it out, and that way this $3,000 oak desk will make friggin' their budget for next year go better, because they have to buy a new desk. Right. And stuff like that. There's so many things I could tell you about, man. I'll talk to you for hours about stuff I've seen thrown and get destroyed. It could just be and this is so destructive to the planet. But there's actually a contract, I know, because I haul trash and haul stuff off this side. There's a building. They didn't get the budget approved for a new building, so they were redoing this building. Need a new roof and all that huge building. We're talking a lot of money to get this contract and get this roof done. Well, they did get the money for the budget for the new building, but they'd already signed the contract for the new roof. So they had the new roof installed, thousands and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, not millions. And they got the new roof installed. Then they demoed the building and put a new building up because they'd already done a contract. There's stuff like this all the time. So I was bringing home to blue-collar workers. So people like us understand it's not just somebody has some hoity-toity job and they cover it up. No, it's day in, day out. You would not believe the example. I mean, beautiful things just go in the trash, and it's your job if you touch it or try it. If it accidentally falls off a truck at a friend's house, well, no, man, you're tracked. You can't go off course and stuff. Like, you can't do none of that. They're just beautiful stuff that goes on all the time, and they don't just for the budget for next year. They've got to waste it. They got to show they got to spend it. So it's becoming crunch time to get their budget approved. But they don't just the same budget for next year.
What's the coolest thing? What's the coolest thing you ever saw in the trash?
Wait, I wanted to see how long Danny would go.
I just want to know, what's the coolest thing you ever saw in the trash?
Okay. Well, you know, I was a mechanic for a long time. So, like, you're talking about a name brand, Ingersoll Rand or something, 1-inch drive, air impact wrench, nothing wrong with it.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And I'm talking about a roll-off dumpster full of wrenches, tools, everything. Going for scrap metal, nothing wrong with it, but they had to make their budget for next year, so they just throw it out, and it just goes melted down.
I'm picking on you a little bit, Danny, but your point is well taken, that and it is almost embedded in government. Government is naturally this way, because if you are not spending your own money, if you're spending other people's money, and by extension, if you're within the bureaucracy, you almost don't look at it as money. It's just paper. It's budgets. It's moving this invoice over here to this pile and moving this over here. I don't think you just stop seeing it as a waste.
Well, you don't see it as other people's money because that's right. What it is.
That's exactly what
and that's I've worked in different levels of government. I've been in the media around the different levels of government, and I consistently see that. And then the issue is, well, the bureaucracy is very entrenched in reasons and stuff. And like the truth is, that's dumb.
That's why the Department of Government Efficiency is going to be such a delight because of the way that they're scheduling it, the way that they're planning on doing it. I'll talk about that in a moment. Speaking of the media and relationships with the media, it has been announced the new press secretary for Donald Trump has been announced. And it's not, I don't know that I've ever heard this woman's name pronounced, but she is currently the press secretary for Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. Do you know who that is?
No. I know it's not Scott Jennings.
It's not Scott Jennings, who would have been great, but Scott's doing a great job over at CNN. She will be the youngest press secretary in the history of the United States of America at the age of 27. Her name is Caroline Levitt. Levitt
sounds good.
Levitt.
I've heard the name. I don't know.
Leavitt. I don't know her either. There's a little there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your new press secretary. Can't possibly be worse than Karine Jean-Pierre, I wouldn't think.
Well, she may end up being a governor someday. You never know.
True that. 52 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It's 6 o'clock. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. That full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. President Joe Biden will meet with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping at the APEC summit in Lima, Peru, Saturday. ABC's Alex Prescia reports.
Issues that they're going to be talking about, three main things. Number one, the importance of military-to-military communication. Also, the importance of these counter-narcotic efforts. And then the third thing, and this has been a topic of conversation amongst the entirety of this APEC summit, is AI safety.
Biden also spoke about the millions being given in assistance to Peru.
I'm pleased to announce $65 million in the next 5 years to assistance to Peru, including the 9 Black Hawk helicopters and the training for more than 130 pilots and technicians.
President-elect Trump has formally announced that North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum will lead the Department of Interior and the newly formed National Energy Council. He teased the announcement at Mar-a-Lago last night. Burgum is a multimillionaire former software company CEO who has been a candidate for the presidency but dropped out last December. Burgum made energy and natural resources a key part of his campaign for the GOP nomination. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News. Got a couple of accidents to report. One with accident with the left two lanes blocked at I-65 northbound at I-440 exit 80, and two on I-24. One going westbound at I-840 exit 74. That's in Murfreesboro, and one in Clarksville. That's at I-24 eastbound at Roseview Road exit 8. And we still have that accident in New Middleton, Tennessee, I-40 eastbound before Alexandria. Exit 254. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is The Drive. No Brian Wilson today. Matt Murphy in for Brian until 7 o'clock tonight on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And happy weekend, friends. Hope the drive home, if that is what you are doing, is going as best as it possibly can at 6:07 in the evening in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, and the surrounding communities. Thank you for being with us. Whatever time you give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. There's, starting at 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. live and local conversation every single Monday through Friday. And I would be remiss if I did not mention how much we appreciate. I try to do this when I talk about the weekend and how, everybody's got good things going on the weekends. Maybe you're going to the Bourbon Bash. Maybe you're going to this Armored MMA tonight. Maybe you're going to a football game. Maybe you're just watching some football. Whatever you're doing, remember that it's the weekend warriors that make that possible for us. The firefighters, the police officers, the EMTs, nurses, yes, but also the restaurateurs and the convenience store workers and all of you folks that work the weekends. We absolutely appreciate you. I appreciate you being with us until 7 o'clock and beyond on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and indulging all of what I do on a day-to-day basis. Cameron Smith has hung around.
Yeah.
Mainly because I made him.
Yeah, and I don't really have anywhere else to go. I want to go see Shelbyville and Nolensville High School play at 7 tonight, but it's a long way away. So I guess this.
They playing the foosball over there.
They're playing the foosball. It's playoffs, baby. And
are we in high school? Are we in high school playoffs? I didn't know.
Man. Second round. So
what school does yours go to?
White House High School.
White House High.
Yeah. I don't think they're very good.
You don't think? You don't keep track,
Chris?
Like,
nah, we don't get it.
I didn't go to football games when I was in high school, much less when my kid was in high school.
I went to football games to smoke under the bleachers. That's what I went to football games. I mean, it's
I
true.
was playing in them, and I will tell you, in Nolensville, on Friday nights, there ain't a lot to do. And in the fall, everybody shows up to the high school football game, and it is one of the most fun things you can possibly do.
So I desperately want, I've said the statement in the past that it didn't bother me at the age of 51. It did not bother me when I realized I was no longer cool.
Right.
It did bother me when I realized I never was.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school going to football games, I so desperately wanted to be Judd Nelson from The Breakfast Club. And I wore the trench coat.
That.
Oh my God!
Wait, Matt, did you walk onto the football field in the middle of the day and put your fist up in the air too to reminisce of that?
Maybe. Did you make an elephant lamp that wouldn't work when you pulled the trunk on the elephant and it wouldn't work? So you brought a flare gun to school to attack your.
What? I don't know where are you going with this.
That's a Anthony Michael Hall in The Breakfast Club. See, now that's a deep plot narrative from The Breakfast Club. All I know is
Gordon Bombay was in detention and the guy with the fist at the end. That's all I know from that movie.
I was accusing you of being Anthony Michael Hall, the nerd in the movie, Jeff. So Anthony Michael Hall's character, whose name I forget, the reason he was in detention is that he had, in shop class, he had to make an elephant lamp, and the lamp would come on when you pulled on the trunk, and his lamp wouldn't come on, and the shop teacher was going to give him an F, and I can't have an F on my grades, and so he had brought a flare gun to school to try to threaten.
As any normal person would.
Right. Wow. Oh, wait a minute. I just realized something. So if Malinoff is Anthony the nerd, and I'm not real. I'm like Mr. Bender, probably more than anything. I mean, or the principal. You're the jock.
That's weird.
And that makes Chris Webber Molly Ringwald.
It's fair.
What about Hallie Sheedy?
I feel like.
Oh, you can pick. I'll give you your choice.
So who's the rest? We got to add is Chris Han in this? Is Mandis in this? Are we gonna add, because I know there's more than a couple of us. I know we have less people than people are in The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, we actually have more people that work for this radio station than were in the movie. So.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be Carl the janitor.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I could be the janitor.
Oh, you'd be a good Carl.
I just wanted to be Ferris Bueller.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. That's all I really wanted to be. It's just chill, whatever, let's go. And I went to Bruin Academy, and
your name is Cameron.
Yeah. I typically get on the no-fly list because it's David Cameron Smith, so David Smith. And, apparently all the terrorists are like, what's a very American name we can use? And it's David Smith. So, Ferris is not in the cards for me.
David Smith.
Yeah, it's not great. Do I?
Yes.
Yes, probably.
Less so now that you've gotten the haircut, but sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I'm sure you've seen the breakdown of Ferris Bueller where it would have taken him like 38 hours to do all of that.
Oh, yeah. But
I mean,
come on, let's go.
Come on.
We should try.
He was the sausage king of Chicago.
And that's great.
Abe Froman.
But there's actually a Cameron in that movie who is just
That's
nervous
what I
about
was
everything.
saying, right.
And
He
the
was-
freedom that comes from just Ferrising things is what Cameron needed to learn. And he did, and it was good for him.
Well, there's your movie review from Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the Drive, 12 minutes after the hour. If you want to get in on it, 615-737-9986. Favorite pick from Trump so far, or, I mean, are you appreciative of what's going on? I mean, you said during the break, and some who listened to you during the midday show might be surprised. You're like, that's the thing that he's got going for him, is that he trusts his instincts, and he doesn't really care what other people think about the selections that he makes.
Yeah, and frankly, I think that's what people want in their politicians, is just be who you really are. Don't be a bootlicker for somebody else, and don't be just a caricature. Like, if you're a Republican and you look at Trump's picks and you're like, man, I really like Marco Rubio. That makes sense. Noam's fine. Like, oh, these are really good. These are good. And then you get to Matt Gaetz and you're like, nah, okay. But be honest about it, right? Say, I just don't think he has the character and fitness to do a good job here. Have the conversation with the president and don't shy away from it. Because the moment that you're playing the political wins game is the moment that the folks are going to turn on you. And so that, I use Brian Kemp in Georgia as an example. He wasn't anti-Trump. He's like, no, you're just wrong about this. Trump hated it, was mad at him. And he said, okay. And
Trump quietly came a little back to him too.
Yes.
During the campaign. Hey, and Kemp went a long way to Trump, but Trump moved back to Kemp a little bit.
You know why? Because Trump respects people that have the conversation with him, that aren't jerks. Like Kemp wasn't like, sorry, never you. Right. He's like, yeah, we disagreed. You primaried me. I won. Like, I'm going to support you because it's better for the country. And Trump was even like, okay, I'm going to quit thumping you.
And I'll give you another example. I don't mind. And look, I will disagree with you, and I will adamantly tell you why I think you're wrong. But if you call yourself a Republican and you say, I can't vote for Donald Trump, okay, that's fine.
Sure.
That's fine. I'll disagree, we'll argue, and we'll go our separate ways. But if you call yourself a Republican and tell me that you're voting for Kamala Harris, then what I've said is you're not a Republican, you're an a-hole.
Well, what are you doing at that
What are you
point?
doing?
And I think just be honest, but, it's the folks like, I'll use Liz Cheney as an example.
She's the easiest one, yeah.
Right, okay, I think she genuinely believed what she was selling, but what she did in the process was to say, I'm actually more like the statist Democrats here because that's what I think is worth preserving than my conservative friends who say, I may not love Trump, but I really don't love the state.
Well, but see, if she had said that, I'd have more respect for it too, but that's not what she said. She said, if you elect him, we'll never have another election again, and he's an authoritarian fascist, and hang on.
Right, and now she's in the wastelands, the hinterland. She's no longer in anything.
And we are in a dynamic now where I find liberal commentators are being more observationally honest than a lot of the media counterparts that were anti-Trump, because like Bill Maher and Charlemagne the God. All right, yeah. Charlemagne the God being a radio host, for those who don't know, he's on multiple radio stations, primarily African-American radio stations, and Bill Maher, obviously, real-time. And both of them said the same thing. It's like, wait a minute. You're chumming it up with Hitler in the White House now, Joe Biden? Like, 10 days ago, you're looking at the American people and telling us that this will be the last election we ever have if you elect him. Democracy is in peril. This man is an authoritarian fascist. And now you're laughing it up in the White House. No wonder they don't. It's to your point. No wonder people don't believe you.
Right, because when the thing doesn't happen that you say is going to happen, then you lose our credibility. And that's where it's taken me years with Trump to kind of get the idea of like, he's the reference candidate. He's going to do what he thinks is the thing he needs to do. And yeah, he's going to say some things that aren't true. He's going to say some things that are offensive. He's going to do all kinds of wild stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, he's actually himself. He's not looking around and saying, well, what will happen to my polling numbers?
What will people think?
They might like this. Let me perform for them. He doesn't do that.
We could give example after example, but during his first term as president, every president in my adult life, starting with, I don't remember Reagan doing it, I don't guess, but starting with one of the Bushes, right, told us that we needed to move our embassy, our United States embassy in Israel to Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
But they all said the same thing. But we can't do that because it's going to cause unrest. It's going to cause problems. So they say, yes, I want to do this, but, and then they spend the next however long explaining why it can't happen. Donald Trump comes into office and goes, oh, let's do it.
Yeah.
And they did it.
And that actually means a lot to me because I was a young Senate Judiciary Committee staffer for Jeff Sessions. And I remember the name of Mitch McConnell's staffer that would come tell us we couldn't do conservative things. It was Lanier. Lanier would come down and say, well, I know on immigration, your boss wants to do this, this, and this, but here's why we can't, because we need to do all these other things first. So we'll get to it. And we never got to it, right? And today we're having basically the same immigration conversation we had back when I worked on
You
Capitol
wrote a great
Hill.
article about this.
Yeah, and that to me
You see, I read your articles.
Well, I'm shocked, but also appreciative. And but that to me is why the American people elected Donald Trump, because they're like, we have been talking about the same thing for decades.
Just do it.
Do something.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And the
action.
And the American people are smarter than the leftist rhetoric on mass deportation, right? Because and Donald Trump is going to say the thing the way that he's going to say the thing. But the American people recognize that if a lot of people came here illegally, they probably need to leave and do it the right way. And if you can call that whatever you want, but the American people kind of recognize that that's a part of the process of getting the problem solved and getting it fixed. I like that. I mean, the reason I like the Musk-Vivek thing is because I think when Donald Trump starts talking about a thing, it's not just a campaign thing. He's going to want to accomplish it because his definition of winning is checking the boxes that he promised to check.
Yeah.
And, whether he believes it or not doesn't matter. Whether he really wants to do it or not, it really doesn't matter. If you believe in the things that he talks about, his definition of being a winner is accomplishing those things.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants.
And, well, he's also, how his ego works, which I think is a good thing for America, is if people said I didn't do the things that I said I would do or didn't do, like, at least some of them, then they won't like me and then they'll move on. And so he's not going to be, some of the stuff he says is mutually exclusive. You literally could not do it simultaneously, but he's going to do a lot of it. And he's going to start moving things, and that's what needs to happen.
I don't necessarily know that this is the case because I don't know him well enough, but I would say this. If his primary motivation is to be looked at years from now as the greatest president in American history, well, we could call that kind of small. Like, well, that's your motivation, right? I don't necessarily believe it. But even if that's true, that's fine too, because the things that you have to do in order to get there, that's going to be good for all of us.
Yeah, and I think if you want to be remembered, you're not typically remembered for every random thing you say. You may have like some poignant lines, every once in a couple hundred years you get a Gettysburg Address.
Mm-hmm.
But most of it, if you tell me George Washington's most popular quotes, go ahead. I'm ready. I mean, most people can tell you a couple things about George Washington and why he mattered. And
I'm out of here, suckers.
Yeah, he didn't want to be king. Okay, cool. Presidents, if they want to do something big, they got to start by doing something.
Julia will get your favorite Trump selection thus far, and Dan in Franklin wants to talk about Byron Donalds. Plus, I have to repair something I said yesterday because a caller called me and said, well, I'm a little bit concerned for the lack of African-American selections on the cabinet. And a lot of you brought up a selection that I had not thought of. And I'm going to tell you who that is in just a moment, 21 after the hour on Super Talk.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
An update regarding an upcoming trial of a man who is accused of killing 4 at the University of Idaho. We'll have that story and the day's closing money news at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Malinoffs. 26 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you until 7. We hand off to Mark Levin at that time. Cameron Smith's also here. Chris Weber's also here. The aforementioned Mr. Malinoff is here as well. Julia's here on line 1. Hello, Julia. Thank you for calling in to the drive. How are you?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
Wonderful.
I'm so thrilled about Bobby Kennedy's appointment. So thrilled.
That's your number one favorite pick?
Yeah, I really think so, because the health in our country is literally falling apart. I spent 20 years in the natural products industry preaching about healthy living. I'm a complete failure because America wanted soft drinks. They wanted McDonald's. They wanted a quick fix, pill, powder, or potion. We really have to get our food better. It's fundamental. Look at the generation of obese children. It's terrible.
Well, one of the things, and you tell me, you might be a lot closer to this than me, Julia, but Cameron and I were talking about this during the break, is that, you know, I'm naturally predispositioned to be a fat boy, right? Yeah. And so
Fat girl talking to you.
Right? And so I have to work to make sure that I live the healthy life that I want to live. And that comes down to personal self-control and choices.
It does.
And, you know, where sadly a government that tells us what we must eat is not a government that I want to live under, you know?
Me neither. And I'm not professing for that. The difference is, if you go back to your grandfather, your genetic, who you are as a person, he was as predisposed to being overweight as you are, but the food that man put in his body was so drastically different than the choices available to you. It's not because you are lazy, stupid, make bad choices, want to be a glutton, or eat unhealthy. It's the prevalence of unhealthy food. We now live in what's referred to as an obesogenic society. If you simply live normally, you will gain weight. To stay the same, you have to swim upstream pretty hard. And if you just live normally, you will become obese.
Well, and add to that, and it just goes in conjunction with exactly what you're saying, Julia, that, my grandfather ate, like he desired to eat. There was far more natural choices, homegrown choices. He had a garden. He would go shoot his own meat or whatever. But he was also outside every morning at 6 a.m. and stayed outside every day until 7. He lived such an active lifestyle that we've lost in the United States of America, sadly, for a lot of us at least.
We have. And I think all Bobby Kennedy wants to do is ensure what goes in our body is healthy enough that people who make it stand behind it and will back it.
So he wants to regulate food kind of in the same way, folks want to regulate guns, because it's really, gun violence is a product of the guns and not the people, right?
I think it's a different argument. Gun control.
Good for you, Julia.
That's against our Second Amendment rights.
That's
completely.
true.
I don't believe in gun control. But to allow the pharmaceutical industry, to allow big food, to intentionally put addictive proponents in the food, to knowingly put dyes that cause cancer in the food, that's the problem. They don't need to regulate what we eat. They need to make sure makers of food aren't allowed to put garbage in it. That's all anybody really wants.
Yeah, but I'll push back in this way, just to see how you react, though, Julie. But what if I want to eat garbage?
We may have to get to where we are with fuel, leaded, unleaded, your choice. But
if you take away leaded, it's not my choice.
Yeah, we can't get leaded gas anymore.
Well, all right, that's a bad analogy. I'm a girl. Give me a break on that one. But I know there's two things I can pick here. At the gas pump, you get the ethanol or the non-ethanol.
There you go. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's sorry. That's my
no, that's good. That's good. No, that's good.
But what I mean by that is we may have to have choice A and choice B, but the general populace, when they buy a box of Captain Crunch, they really don't know they're buying just toxic poison.
Hey, Julia, real quick, because I got to go, because I promised I'd. But I have one more question. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
I think a lot of deals were made in the back room that
people
turned a blind eye.
You can't. Let's not ignore the personal choices. People know when they're eating fried chicken, what they're eating. They know.
All right. A girl, a reader of mine years ago, called me because she was frantic. She had gastric bypass surgery and gained 100 pounds back. And I said, what are you eating? And she figured out she could eat cotton candy without having the dumping syndrome. We will never cure obesity.
I didn't mean to laugh.
Never. No, it is funny. That's the point. Free will, we're always going to have it.
Yeah.
But if healthier choices weren't so expensive, if instead of shopping at Whole Foods, you could get the same stuff at Dollar General, we'd be a better, healthier society for it.
But
I don't want to take anything away.
I'll leave you with this. I'm just picking on you, so don't get mad at me, but I'll leave you with this. My grandpa,
I love you.
You were talking about my grandpa. I got 4 letters for you.
Yes.
LARD. That's what Pa ate. A lot of it. Back in a moment.
It's 6:30. I'm Jeff Malinoff with your top stories. That full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Attorneys for the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022 are making a new sweeping series of challenges to keep pieces of evidence ahead of his scheduled trial next summer. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
In hundreds of pages of new filings, lawyers for Brian Kohberger want the judge to exclude a wide range of evidence against him, from the DNA that helped lead investigators to Kohberger to the searches of Kohberger's home and car and to data pulled from his Amazon and Apple accounts. They say it should all be out because Kohberger's DNA was linked to the crimes by using genealogy, and his attorneys claim family tree DNA analysis is unconstitutional, but it's a method regularly used nationwide. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Moving on to money news, here's Michelle Franzen.
ABC News, Wall Street now. Stocks with a mixed showing today. The Dow ending up 47 points, the S&P nearly 2 points, and the Nasdaq down 50. The tech-heavy Nasdaq took a slight loss. This comes as the latest consumer index report shows a slight rise in inflation in the month of October, up 2.6% from 2.4% in September. A bright spot for American drivers. Gas prices have fallen more than 12% from this year. Grubhub has a new owner after European food delivery giant JustEatTakeaway.com sold the platform to New York-based Wonder Grub for $650 million. JustEatTakeaway.com acquired Grubhub back in 2021 for more than $7 billion. GM issued a recall for around 462,000 pickup trucks, including models of the Silverado and Sierra, because the rear wheels can lock up, increasing the risk of a crash. The company reported more than 1,800 instances of wheel lockup that could be related to the issue. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Jeff Malinoff, WTN News. Still had those two accidents on I-24, one going westbound that has a left shoulder block on I-840 exit 74. That's in Murfreesboro. In Clarksville, we saw that accident on I-24 eastbound. That's at Roseview Road, exit 8. And in Berry Hill, we still have that accident with the left shoulder block, I-65 northbound. That's just before I-440 exit 80. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN in the drive, getting you to 7 o'clock. We'll hand off to Mark Levin at that time. 615-737-9986 if you'd like to be involved. Cameron Smith is well involved. Chris Webber, well involved. Malinoff just done from his involvement. He's off to the weekend. Good for him. We'll do the same in about, 20 minutes or so on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So what do you anticipate will occur? I've been circling around this one for a while. I want to get to it.
Sure.
Department of Government Efficiency, which is not a real thing, but it's now a real thing.
Well, it's a sort of.
So what you can't do is create a new Department of Government.
Yeah.
Like an actual Department of Government.
Yeah, unilaterally. You cannot speak it into existence. That's not how that works.
Well, but what I mean is even in the spirit of the whole thing,
right?
It would seem
weird.
It would be weird to create, which if you did do that, if we just could speak it into existence, it would almost automatically become one of the busiest departments in government. So if it's about government efficiency, creating a new department of government bureaucracy to battle government efficiency seems a little counterintuitive.
It's a pretty good joke, though.
It's a pretty good joke. Yeah. But what you can do, and what I like about what Elon has done, just talking about it, is that we're going to shame government publicly.
Brilliant. Seriously.
And I think that's good.
Yeah.
That we're going to shame you about your little shrimp research projects. We've seen the video, the shrimps running on the treadmills, and that costs like $28 billion or whatever it
right.
costs. We're going to shame you by putting that next to people who are in genuine need and they can't get their FEMA money because of bureaucracy or whatever.
Well, I think sunlight's a great disinfectant. Like, we know that. And so putting a light on some of this stuff where it's just able to hide is a great idea. And the idea that we're upset because it's, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, why? I mean, why can't it be them? Oh, well, he is a billionaire and the other ones, he says a lot of things and he ran a company. Okay. Like, the idea that these guys who are very good at drawing attention to things can't help in this exercise where we need attention on bad things in government is ridiculous. I think it's great. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, because you and I have talked for a long time around the fact that everyone talks about the debt. Well, I say everyone talks about the debt. Sadly, I've
not anymore.
I mean, not anymore, right? I mean, even Trump during his first term, and a lot of it was COVID money, but
Sure.
but he was overspending before COVID. It at least indicates to me that it's somewhere on the radar of someone in Washington, D.C., that maybe this is unsustainable. And Elon Musk is a champion of this, that this is unsustainable. Overspending in this amount is just going to destroy the country. And I've been saying it for a long time. I think you agree with it.
Of course.
So at very least, we're putting it front and center on the table and going, listen, before we – remember that scene? Do you see the movie Dave?
Yeah.
So it's a great scene. If you've never seen the movie Dave, it's a cute it's a comedy. Who is that? Oh, what's his name? Is it Kevin Kline?
Yes.
Is it Kevin Kline? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Kevin Kline it stars as the president of the United States, and the president has a stroke or something or another while he's having an affair, and so they have to find a body double.
Right.
And so they find this guy, Dave, and he is the, quote, president. And while acting as the president, he realizes that the people that are handling him can't really do anything if he does his own thing in public, because what are they going to do?
Right.
He's the president. And so there's one great scene where he's like, we can't save any of this money. No, we can't do that, Mr. President. And he's like, we can't save $2 billion? Really? And so he brings in his buddy, an accountant, and he starts going over the books. He goes, oh, they're wasting money hand over fist over. It's like the real world meets government.
Yeah.
And we need some of that in the real world.
And as somebody that's lived and operated in real world businesses and been employed by the federal government, I can tell you the best thing we can do, and I'm going to keep saying it, is break up the big government cartel in Washington and move it around the country. The idea that we, in 2024,
it's a great idea.
Need everything in one place is
totally
stupid.
Stealing this, by the way. Weber, remind me to steal this later.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. No, you're right. Break up Washington. Don't center. I mean, I don't know if it was an idea that predated you, but I'll give you credit for it, honestly, because Move these agencies around the country. You don't have to dissolve them.
No.
But move them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually wrote it as a one-pager. I kind of hid it. And when I was working for Republican Policy Committee, I was like, this is kind of stupid. Why do we have all these things right here to make it easy for lobbyists to go lobby both Congress and the agencies?
To make it worse.
Yeah. Make them have to run around. That's a good idea. And people are like,
stimulate the economy.
You may infect the rest of the country with the bureaucracies, to which I would say, I don't think so, because you start hiring people. Like, imagine Health and Human Services is right here in Nashville. Well, the folks that are here that work for the government, they're going to be folks from Nashville or around the area. You know, some folks will move, but a lot of folks will be recruited.
Well, they'll become Nashvillians,
right? Right. And I wouldn't say we got to go fire the agency. It's just, hey, guys, we're going to move this next year. And so if you want to stay employed, you got to move.
Is elimination of the Department of Education a real thing?
Man, I wish. I love the idea of
I like talking about it.
I like the idea of block granting it because it's about 10% of education funding for every state is federal. But federal government from policy creates a lot of strings to say, you want that 10%? You got to do what we say.
How much does it cost us to get the 10%?
Well,
in terms of educational opportunity or money?
Well, all of the control. You know, that's the point. You got to listen to Department of Education policy. The president gets to tell you, here's how you're going to do education on these programs. And the Democrats are like, we should be very afraid. They're going to destroy it and hurt special needs kids and everything. And as a father of special needs kids, okay, you can still fund the programs. They should be done at the state level.
I had a guy in this building who will go unnamed, but he came to me the other day, and he works for one of our music stations. And he said, hey, is this elimination of the Department of Education a real thing? And I was like, well, it's a real proposal.
Yeah.
And he said, is it going to hurt special ed funding? I mean, he has a child that's special ed.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I said, they'll still block grant the money. You'll still Tennessee will have more control of the implementation of the programs. But they use the Department of Education. I thought of this the other day. It's a lot like the speed limit. Remember when the federal government decided to impose federal speed limits of 55 miles an hour because it was going to be an awesome thing and it's going to be a safety thing and it's going to save us a lot of gas.
Mm-hmm.
And rightly so, the states were like, wait a minute, that's not your business. That's our business. We're supposed okay, well, you can still do it. That's fine. But if you don't move your speed limit down to 55 miles an hour, you don't get any more federal highway dollars. How about that?
Right.
And so every state did it. And we didn't see any benefit from a health and safety standpoint. We didn't see, to my knowledge, I don't think there was any benefit. I've not read the papers, but I don't think there was any benefit from an energy consumption standpoint. And after a while, everybody was like, this is kind of stupid. Let's not do this anymore. And we stopped it, and you've not seen blood on the streets. But when they said they were going to stop it, what were we told? Blood on the streets. Oh, my God.
Well, everybody's going to die every time we take away a program, anytime we change regulation. And for so long, we're just afraid, and nobody does anything. And I think we're at a point where we've got to say, we're not afraid. We're going to do these things. And when it comes to this, you know what? We actually have more funding if we don't fund a whole bureaucracy. If we just give it to the states and don't fund the Department of Education at the federal level, sweet. Oh, and then states get to do different things. We see what works. And then people can say, oh, well, that worked in Tennessee. We should do that.
I would like to finish up this segment right now by reading. We have a lot of people that are talking about lard on the super text line, which is awesome. I love lard. Lard's good for you. I love lard. I'm not knocking lard. I'm just saying my grandpa ate a lot of lard. And I did too when I was a kid. But I want to finish up with a series of text from Larry 2.
Awesome.
Who is a little frustrated with us.
Okay.
Larry 2 writes, okay, no. Y'all are doofaloops.
Is that like a Fruit Loop?
RFK wants to stop the chemicals, you butt tweeds. OMG. We got called butt tweeds. But not but TWEEDS. Butt tweeds. I don't know. I don't know that I've ever heard that, but I thank you, Larry.
I hope I don't ever have those.
Oh, it keeps going. The dyes and preservatives are what he wants to get rid of. Cameron and Matt are just dumb. That's right. You're dumb. And it's Y-O-U-R. Which is awesome.
You can't do that.
If you're You're dumb. You're almost as bad as liberals. But he put almost in all caps. So
almost, but
no,
not.
that's nice.
Right.
That's nice of Larry.
It'd be weird if Larry wanted to like force government mandates. It's
Larry
almost
wants to force. Look, he just wants the government big enough to stop us from eating the things we want to eat and force us to eat the things that the government told us to eat. Soylent Green is people.
Wait a minute, Matt. Are you telling me that Fruit Loops really aren't those colors naturally?
We'll talk off the radio about this. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I am a proud partner with a wonderful organization called Men of Valor. Let me tell you a couple of statistics. 90%, we all believe in crime and law and order as a result of that crime. You do the crime, you do the time, as they say. But did you know that over 90% of the men who are in prison will get out? That is a statistic that you need to know and understand. And sadly, 50% of those that get out will return to prison within 3 years unless they are discipled and given hope for their future. That's where Men of Valor comes in. They provide wonderful organizations in prison and out of prison. And they need volunteers in their prison system and at their campus for their aftercare reentry service. They need job partners and Bible study teachers, mentors that can disciple men on a day-to-day basis and shape their life after prison and reduce recidivism. And as a result, they not only save souls, they save money in the process. How about that? Will you join them? MOVministry.com. That's MOVministry.com. Help make our community a safer place through Men of Valor.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Only a minute. I'm saddened that we only have a minute to talk about our beloved Georgia Bulldogs taking on the hated Tennessee Volunteers.
Him's fighting words.
Chris, you'll be watching at home?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Look for me. I'll be the guy in the hat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What color hat?
It'll be red.
Oh, okay.
It'll be
Gotcha.
red.
Yeah.
Cameron, who you guys playing tomorrow?
Marseille. I believe it's a city in France.
That'd be a tough one.
Their mascot is the beignets.
Yes.
Sure. Folks, hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your weekend. A little rest and relaxation, unless you're one of those weekend warriors aforementioned. We love you guys. I truly do hope your team wins, unless your team is the Tennessee Volunteers, in which case, go Dogs. We're back at, I guess I'm back at 3 o'clock on Monday for another edition of The Drive. Until then, for Brian Wilson, Chris Weber, the rest of the crew, so long, everybody.